Well, I hope everybody's ready for some good fights today, because I know I am. That good old Falcon music gets me pumped. I love it. It makes me want to join these guys out there in the fight. But of course, somebody has to record, somebody has to stream, and somebody can't do that. Somebody is me. Steal a word from the other fantastic streamer, of course, Airshow D. Those who can't do, well, we stream. Oh, but I hope you guys have had a good day. If the day is winding down, if your day is just starting, I hope it's great. And if it's the middle of the day, I hope the part you've had was good and the part you're going to have is going to be good. I hope the fights are good. I think today is going to be a great showing, a very even match. TMC versus RS. I'm excited to see RS. This will not be their first victory, but it will be their first appearance in the matches this year, as last week's match had to be canceled and was forfeited in their favor. But I think they've got it, and I think they're going to be a run for the money for TMC. So hopefully it should be good. We're actually going to get right into the maps so we can get that sorted right away. Let's take a look at our maps. We've got 5 maps to choose from this year on different maps. That's an interesting way to say it. We, of course, have the majority of our maps on the Caucasus region, where most fighting goes on. But we also have a Falkland Islands, a Syria, and a Persian Gulf map. Now, the way we choose these maps is we run through a random number generator. We have a list. Each number represents a different map and a different weather setting to make sure that everything is as fair as possible. Now, we're going to start off with a 1 to 18 roll under the hopes that mayhaps everybody has the maps. We're going to get right away with that. And that's a 3. Another low number, that is Sochi versus Mozdok. That is on the Caucasus region, and that is WTR3, which is overcast morning with rain, so a lot of clouds. We've seen this map before in some of the prior matches, and if I'm not mistaken, we've had a couple people go into the ground. Those clouds, they hang low right over top the mountains, and if you're not paying attention to your radar altimeter, things can go bad for you. So let me just go ahead and get that information shared out with the appropriate services. Oh, and you know what? While we get that sorted, why don't you guys take a look at the fantastic trailer for SATAC? I hope you guys enjoy it. Well, I love that video. That one gets me pumped every time. Let's talk about this tournament. Right now, we're in the preliminary stage, and the way it works is we've got 4 different groups, A, B, C, and D. I know, the alphabet, very difficult. Each group is sort of a pool of different teams who will fight matches against each other to gain points. Whoever has the highest point at the end of the preliminaries, which is, 4 weeks of fighting, will go on to go into the semifinals, where we'll start having knockout matches and get into a bracket-style tournament. As you can see here, we can go through the list of our groups. Now, today we are in Group C, which is TMC, the Motley Crew, versus RS, which is Red Squadron. Hopefully we'll see a good match. Like I said, TMC and SPQR were the first fights in Group C 2 weeks ago, with SPQR taking the win from TMC there, but TMC putting up a good fight, hopefully learning a lot that they could bring to the table today. And Red Squadron last week unable to fight because their opponents, GC, were not able to make the match, forfeiting it in their favor, but still a competent group. Hopefully we'll see something good out of them. But they, of course... Well, that's just annoying. Can you tell this scene in particular was added like not long ago? Very upsetting. A whole conversation about the different teams, but we can go over that. Thank you for letting me know, Alpha Gator. Like I was just saying, pulling for a tie. I know sometimes the teams have a lot of spirit and you just want to see them do well. And a tie is unfortunate, but unfortunately not possible. But, you know, hopefully we can have it. Maybe the gods of the 51st will smile upon us today and say, you know what, you guys have had 5 tiebreakers in a row and you still can't break the tie. We're just going to have to give points to both of you, but I assume that is not possible. I've got here with me today the one and only 51st Rich to help me commentate, give some of his expert opinions on the matches. Rich, what do you have for us?
Hiya, folks. Oh, well, just want to see how this plays out. I think RS and TMC are very even and both flying flankers. You know, it's one thing to fly them, but also to watch other teams, you know, employ your baby. It's going to be very interesting.
Flanker's an interesting aircraft this year. Perhaps a bit of an underdog. I mean, obviously, I think people are expecting 51st to fly their flankers well. And, you know, no one expects that a pilot's going to bring an aircraft they're unfamiliar with into the fold. But we've seen some really impressive action out of some of these FC3 modules. In fact, yesterday at Airshow Stream, thank you for the follow, Airshow. Good luck to TMC and RS. In Airshow Stream, we saw some F-15s really wipe the floor. It was incredibly impressive how capable Alamo was when employing those F-15s. We've seen a lot of FC-3 planes do well. Some of the flankers may be taking the cake for the lowest expectations, highest performance, especially with the December update to the R-27, ER, and ET. As a flanker pilot yourself, I'm sure that makes you happy, but are you expecting to see any more long-range shots trying to get home on jam, considering the proliferation of electronic countermeasures in some of the the flanker models, or are you thinking that these pilots are going to go ahead and continue saving their missiles and trying to have more guaranteed closer in kills, higher kill probability?
Well, absolutely. The opportunity to make a first kill before the fight even started is one that I think personally is worth a missile. Especially when you're kind of flying heavy fighters that have a lot of weapons on tap. Basically making a fight, 6 versus 5 from the onset before you even get in and get started. Um, that's just worth it no matter how you slice it. And like again, the flanker, it's very good at close range as well without needing to, expend, medium range missiles with its 73s. You don't really get to use those until you kind of get in close anyway. So, but that's it. It all depends. If the bandits are jamming, definitely gives you an advantage. But if they just elect not to jam, then it does make your life a little harder. But yeah, it all comes down to the opponents really.
Indeed. Now, on the opposite end of the equation, I think the aircraft we've seen perform the worst this year has probably been the F-14. Are you expecting to see any F-14s today out of either teams? And if so, what are some tactics that you'd like to see employed by these Tomcats that we've sort of seen not employed in the past?
Hmm. So yeah, Tomcat's obviously a hard sell since it's kind of been declawed. Team-wise, I think TMC tend to run a Tomcat now and again, and I think we've seen a Tomcat from RS before as well. Um, but tactics-wise, again, I'm not too researched in the Tomcat since it's had a lot of changes, but I think the 40-50,000 sort of Phoenix at very long range, much like some of the shots by DS Player last year, is still on the table, especially against jamming targets, which will actually correction on that, because I know the F-14 now has jam effects, so again, home on jam shots are now off the table, at least for the super long range. So yeah, I don't know. It's what I want to see. I want to see some teams able to work that now. With all the changes and make them to good use. Because yeah, I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that's actually a fantastic point that you've brought up, which is altitude. And everybody knows the concepts of energy management, right? Having more energy means a more higher likelihood of winning. That was the worst way of saying that. I'll try again
True.
later. But we have seen, especially yesterday, we finally saw somebody use insane altitude. We saw a couple weeks back with 51st as well, using that insane 40,000, 50,000 feet of altitude to really get range out of their missiles. And I think that's where I would like to see the Tomcat as well. I hope to see a Tomcat today, and I hope to see it at that altitude because those missiles can at least get people maneuvering, get people reacting. But 30,000 feet, that Tomcat just doesn't have the range it used to anymore. I mean, I know I've used the Tomcat myself, and 60,000 going Mach 1.6 is a blast, and you might overextend yourself that way if you're not careful. But your missile can certainly tear out, and having those two players in one jet does allow for a little bit better situational awareness, and perhaps somebody acting as a GCI. This is something I've said in the past. In Airshow's stream a couple weeks back, but I really do hope that some of these teams have a sort of shot caller to try and get their positioning best that they can. And watching positions unfold live is, of course, very interesting as different players try to get to different positions for the best case they can get. Now, with the full flanker squadron, we know that you guys are somewhat limited in your formations, and you like to hold those close to your hands. So I won't ask you for what formations you would like to put out. But, assuming you've got an even mix of some F-15s or F-18s, some Su-33s or 27s, what's a formation that you'd like to see from one of these groups today?
That's a difficult question because there's a lot of different ways to play this. It really comes down to what the teams have, trained and sort of where they are. At least, like what's their theory on BVR. I know some teams like to go nice and low and play the notch game, while some like to stay nice and high and, you know, do more of the high altitude stuff. Um, but I think a good wall would be a good watch. Just high fast wall with actives and just press. But again, to see that it really depends. It's not really something that's right or wrong. It just kind of depends on what the teams are willing to do.
Indeed, indeed. Well, and you know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at the map that we're fighting on today. Now, of course, we're all familiar with the Caucasus map, the most common map people have, perhaps because it's free. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to ask an expert. Now, for those of you who are just showing up for your first SATAC match day, this circle you see in the center of the screen now, even if you might have some difficulty seeing it down here, is a circle which players must stay inside. If one team is inside without contest for 5 minutes, they are the winners. This forces people to get in close, no long resets. Now, there are many different ways that players can try to maximize their efficiency in the zone with fuel, positioning, and missiles to maybe get a less grand slam of a victory, but typically the aggression from the other team does make that a bit difficult, although I think we almost did see a fuel starvation match last week. Was it? Yes, I believe. But the players will have to stay inside this circle. Now, the area and topography does definitely matter, especially considering that the high peak of the Caucasus regions at 17,000 feet is in play today. This is the same zone that we saw yesterday in Airshow Stream with different weather settings. If you were to put your wall in here, Rich, where would you come from? Because my thoughts would be that I really like to be on the red side here, able to fight away from over the top of the mountains. I know that mountains can be great for defending into, but with the clouds and the overcast and rain, I would be very concerned that I was going to end up flying myself right into a mountain. So I would want to come from the red side and almost avoid the mountain entirely, which would bunch my formation up a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Well, if we take the wall suggestion with altitude and speed, high energy, I'd actually want to be over the hills or the mountain in this case, just to deny the other team that advantage and have them sort of laid out in front of me over flat land. Because if that game plan does break down, at least then you've got the mountains below you, and hopefully your enemy is also in front of you, and not able to also take advantage of the mountains because, well, you've kind of claimed that territory of the bubble.
That's a fair point.
Either way, it all depends.
Yeah, now you say that, and I'm wondering if there is a sort of a sneaky bonus if you claim most of that mountain range and you're up at 40, 50,000 feet where you've got more than enough room to maneuver before even getting close to the mountain peaks, never mind the valleys. If you could try to trick the opposing side, the other team, into getting themselves way too low, letting them take that low ground to try and defeat missiles and end up using up all their energy, if that would be a fantastic way to come in and clean up, which we've seen before with groups that can stay high versus groups that have to expend all of their energy. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's go ahead and take a look at our team compositions as the players start loading in. Oh my God, Rich, it's happened. We have a new aircraft today on the field, the MiG-29.
Oh,
Hello. We have not seen the MiG-29 yet, and I am unfortunately bemused to say that I think I don't have the skin installed for the MiG-29. That's never good. It is indeed the one and only Matty. Look at that beautiful bird. Jesus. Well, we haven't seen this today. Now, it's got something unique on the red side, else than the J-11. As you guys can see there, it only has two, well, we assume a mirrored payload. It does not have a mirrored payload. It has one R-27ER, one R-27ET, and four R-77s. Now, the ER and ET, the ER is a Fox 1. It is a semi-active radar missile. The ET is a Fox 2. It is an infrared-guided missile. But the 77s are the closest answer to the AIM-120 that the Russians have. It is an active missile, which means that it doesn't need a radar guidance all the way to the target. Does that mean it's a better missile? Well, not necessarily, but it does open up some different employments. Who else do we have here? We have a pair of F-18s. We have a J-11. Oh, I think I have incorrectly installed all of the RS skins, which is quite annoying as they were working not long ago. We have a J-11, an F-16C, an Su-33, and a MiG-29S. What has TMC brought, and who has TMC brought? Well, it looks like a full TMC lineup here. We've got a JF-17, of course, a J-11, an F-16, and 2 Tomcats. That's now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the rules, any Tomcat pilot has to have a human Rio. They cannot use Jester. So,
correction on that. That was for the knockouts forward.
That's for the knockouts. So, got it. Well,
so group stage, you can have a Rio if you'd like, but just for to allow as many teams to compete without needing to field like Tomcats start throwing into the mix. Now you're looking at 6+ pilots on match day.
Yeah.
Just to allow teams to kind of get their footing. We only enforce the Rios in the knockouts forward with when the Daylink in the light ATC is in play.
Gotcha. Well, 2 Tomcats. Now, as we've said before, we're really hoping to see these Tomcats go up nice and high. What are you expecting? We've got Kingston and Death Angel in the 2 Tomcats. I'm unsure if they have Rios.
Well, like I say, I'm not, I know the capabilities of the Tomcat, but in how to employ them best is kind of a grey zone for me. Outside of flying high and just hoping to get a first pass hit on something, I'm not too sure, but, that's it. There can be countless things, but the more time you put into an airframe, you kind of figure out different roles, so we'll see.
Rich, I'm taking a look at something here. I'm seeing TALDs on this Tomcat. I'm seeing 4 actives, as the rules are.
Yep.
But I'm seeing 2 TALDs. I wonder if that's going to be the plan for both of them. I'm interested to see how they are loaded up. The other Tomcat hasn't put any ordnance on. Please remember before taking off, but I think he's got some time.
All right, decoys in play. Interesting.
Decoys in play.
People have been kind of sleeping on the decoys, I feel, because they're definitely something that you're free to use in whatever manner you wish. I think we did have one team employ towers, if I'm not mistaken. It doesn't come to me right now, but with people kind of being over-reliant on, seeing, what the radar shows them. Okay, I've got 6 bandits here. I see the whole picture. Throw 1 or 2 decoys in there, and that adds, 10, 20 seconds of decision making,
confusion, and thinking. Pilot, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, as Airshow's saying in chat, a MiG-29 and TALDs, this match is going to be quite interesting. I'm excited to see it. Yeah. One thing I'm noticing here, RS is definitely employing some interesting tactics. I'm excited to see how they let this unfold. Their lead Hornet right now, no tanks. Has a centerline tank, no wing tanks.
I got a feeling they're going for the... Well, I know Maddie from House of Tsar, the recent event that went through. He put the MiG into a very interesting, how to put it, fly envelope, I guess. I think he's going to be up high and fast with those 77s and just raining on down. But we'll see. Maybe something less aggressive, perhaps. But yeah, definitely a wild card to be sure.
Yeah, indeed. I did Squid, I apologize to all of the RS members. I did install the RS liveries. I don't know why they aren't working. They were working before I joined the server. I checked them both. They were working. They look great. I don't know where they went. Perhaps maybe between rounds I can try and sort that out, but seems unlikely. So I do apologize. I've had them installed for 2 weeks, and they just disappeared. Is Maddie flying? I trust Maddie. Maddie is flying. Maddie is, of course, the absolute legend, taking out the MiG-29. Now, these starting lineups on the airfields, they can tell you a lot about a team's plan, a little bit, not a lot maybe. Maybe you can't read the full book until it's in front of you. We're seeing a lot of lined up aircraft. Now, we're seeing a couple side-by-sides, but a lot of planes in a direct line, which means I'm expecting to see significantly staggered takeoffs from Red Star. It looks like they want their aircraft to take off maybe in a fuel-efficient manner. They're going to have their F-18 and Su-33 perhaps take off first, although who knows? The Su-33 has decided it doesn't need all of its wing space. Perhaps followed by the second F-18. Oh, did this Hornet change its loadout? No, it did not. And looks like maybe the J-11 MiG-29 followed last by Please Don't Shoot Me in the F-16C. This doesn't look like a tight formation takeoff. It looks like we're going to be seeing RS somewhat conga line their way into the play zone. Not the worst idea, but it won't be some of the formation work we've seen out of some other teams. Are you expecting something else, Rich?
Well, it's kind of hard. Some teams from takeoff, they immediately start getting into a formation, which, I don't know. Everyone has their thoughts on things. I feel like that's kind of showing your hand a little early. Sometimes you can do that, and things will just work out fine. But with the kind of conga line departure, it can be either way. It can be, okay, we're just going to go in a long trail, or once they hit the bubble, they'll start to deploy something. So again, it's all to be seen, really. It can go either way.
Yeah. Well, like we just talked about the RS Loud lineup, let's talk about the TMC lineup. They've got their two Vipers up front. Now, this could be a bit similar to the formation. Well, not the formation. The playbook we saw yesterday with Alamo having their Vipers run down center. Looks like their two Tomcats once again lined up back-to-back, so looking at a staggered takeoff probably means they might... I'm expecting with this loadout to see one Tomcat flank on each side, trying to box in, almost emulate what Alamo did yesterday with the F-15s, and I think it's certainly possible. They've also got their Jeff and the Su-33. It almost seems like we're looking at maybe two conga line entrances into the play zone, or perhaps both teams are looking to really spread out and they want to launch in the way that allows them to spread the best. Looks like both teams are full up and ready on the lot. We'll give them the last couple seconds they need to get themselves sorted out for takeoff, but I'm excited. I want to see some great plays out of the MiG-29. I don't want to show favorites, but seeing an aircraft like the MiG-29 that I think is even more of an underdog than something like the J-11, the Su-33, or an Su-27, because it's got limited fuel and limited missiles. I want to see something fast. I almost expect Matty to be, like you said, high, fast, in a unique envelope, and just punishing pilots, because he doesn't have a lot of time in that circle, not compared to other aircraft like the Tomcat and the Su-33, and even some of those double or triple bagged F-18s.
Yep, I don't want to put the pressure Vipers on Matty, but I think you'll possibly get your wish enough.
I think that's almost the only way to employ the MiG-29, and I kind of had an inkling we'd see a MiG-29 today from conversation with Red Star in the past, and I'm glad we did. I'm very excited to see it, and I want it to be used in the best way that it can. Double check. Whoops, I can't spell. Are the teams ready?
Currently no ready calls from either team. It seems like they're still getting in position, but we should have something here shortly.
Oh my god, Squid with the 10 gifted subs. Well, normally I shouldn't thank, but I'm going to have to say thank you for the 10 gifted subs, Squid. I really do appreciate it. I hope everybody who gets one of those subs does enjoy it. Out of nowhere, indeed.
Much appreciated.
Much appreciated.
So it looks like they're still...
looks like RS is ready.
RS.
Is TMC ready? Hopefully. Indeed, indeed. Let's see, maybe we can determine what's holding up TMC. I'd like to see what Death Angel went on with for his... TMC is ready. All right.
There you go. Send him off, enough.
Get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fights on. I can't spell. Should have that copy and paste ready. We'll get that sorted out next time. All right. Who's going to be taking off first?
Okay, single F-18 from RS running down the runway. Interesting.
Interesting. TMC not taking off. Oh, there we go. Viper's rolling. 2 ship out first.
Interesting. I wonder what that delay was. Intentional?
Me too. Let's see what our good friends over at RS are doing. 2 Hornets up first. J11 looks like, okay, they're definitely going with single takeoffs. Somewhat staggered. Hopefully no one catches some wake turbulence. J11 is airborne. Starting to wiggle on the runway a bit. I was concerned.
When you got a minute enough, have a look at RS Fruitcake. He's got his jet.
I'll have to take a look, but...
oh no, when able.
When able, let's see here. MiG-29 left. And the F-16, those are the... I don't know if I want to call them fuel guzzlers, but they definitely are short-legged aircraft of the bunch. And the last one from RS rolling as the F-15. F-15, that is an F-16, roars overhead. Maddie, who I think everybody's expecting great things out of. Unfortunately, the pressure is on. Caught a bit of wake turbulence there. Oh, glorious. All RS airborne and a little bit of a conga line, and it looks like the same from TMC with tail and the J11 taken off last. Let's go ahead and take a look at the TAC view, shall we? Now, this is a system that we'll be using today to get a good idea about... Whoa. TAC view. Thank you. TAC view has gotten itself quite confused. There we go. Good job, TAC view. This is a system we'll be using today to get a good look at vertical disposition of teams as they get in. And while they make their way through the soup and get into the more attractive clouds, let's take a look at how they're flying out. Looks like our 2 Vipers kind of almost heading straight into the zone, but definitely canted off to the north. And it does appear to me that the Tomcats are taking separate directions. Death Angel staying low. I wonder if I can already take a guess. Well, let's go back to let's take a look at it in DCS, but I'm wondering if I can already take a guess about what TMC has done here. Now, Death Angel's ordnance will be the deciding factor. Indeed. Looks like the only Tomcat to have their TALs is Kingston in his F-14. I think Kingston's going to get way high and is going to drop their TALs, and I think they're going to try and make use of the mountain range that they have in front of them to get their TALs almost to mask the fact that Maury and Death Angel and the JF-17 and the F-14 are going to be low, probably within the mountain range, trying to get a surprise on RS. What are your thoughts on that working, Rich?
Well, this is it. It sounds solid in theory, but it all depends on the opponent and obviously how well you can execute. Though yeah, pretty solid because again, a lot of teams are not very used to decoys being utilized. So if it can kind of catch them off guard if then they haven't trained against that or haven't really got that in their game plan. So let's see how it plays out.
Indeed, although I don't know, maybe I'm taking it back. Looks like the F-14s aren't super low altitude. 20,000 is lower than we'd like to see, but that's not too low. Looks like Kingston is establishing themselves in 30,000 feet altitude. Oh, and it is gorgeous up here. Already supersonic. in the Vipers. Vipers running triple bags. Now, that third centerline bag is a killer for the Viper. A lot of people will use that as a get-to-altitude bag because it just puts so much drag on the airplane. And they still got it, but I assume that as they get into the circle and they get the last ounces of fuel out of it, they'll get rid of it and get their speed back up. Good to see the AMRAMs where they belong on the Viper, right on the outside pylons. Ooh, hi there, Mr. Pilot. Getting more altitude. These Vipers, we've seen them a little bit. They're a unique aircraft. They're not quite the air superiority aircraft that some of the other planes here are. Oh, we got a nice formation here out of RS, 32,000. Seems like both groups are kind of going for the same altitude, going straight in. We don't really see a lot of flanking around the circle like we've seen from some other groups. This Hornet is ready to kill.
TMC is making a play for the north here, while RS is electing to kind of just fly straight to bulls. If RS were trying to do some sort of pincer or a spread, a wide one, that can kind of be a good move to play. But it seems in the lack of that, TMC are deciding to fight over the flatland.
Rich, I think there's been a mistake. One of the Hornets only has 2 actives, but is using the pylons meant for 4. I don't think they fired off too early. I think they loaded the wrong weapons onto their aircraft. I'm going to have to ask that when we get to talking with them, because that is certainly a first for me. It looks like RS is going to be the first into the circle here.
Was that fruitcake?
Was that fruitcake? Oh, you know what? That was fruitcake. As you were saying, that is what you were saying.
He's elected to not take the Sparrows. Obviously.
Interesting. See, now if I was RS, I would have at least put, or if I was fruitcake, I would have put the single. Oh, these gorgeous clouds! I'm so glad that we got ourselves some new clouds here from ED. I would have put at least the single AMRAM, because you can mount just a single AMRAM. You don't need to use those double racks, and those double racks do have pretty significant amount of drag. Oh, you used to be able to? They got rid of that.
I have, unfortunately.
You can tell I don't fly the Hornet enough.
I think the reason was, I think it was only a Super Hornet thing, and ED elected to remove the feature, unfortunately.
I see. Well, let's take a look at the game plan here. TMC, you're right. They are making a play to north. They are skirting, but they're on a time limit because they have 5 minutes to go in there and contest that zone. Otherwise, RS wins by default, although it looks like TMC Fresh and the Viper is going to be the first one in. Now, we see the altitudes we want to see here from TMC. RS at 34,000 feet, it's okay. It's not the worst, but TMC has taken the sky at 36,000 feet. They are way up there, and it looks like everybody's up there. So perhaps not the trickery I was expecting to see. So we see the massive Phoenix missiles on those Tomcats. Now this might be what we've been wanting to see out of these Tomcats. The battle area is contested. Now they can't leave the circle from here on out. They are stuck in, otherwise that is a forfeit by that aircraft, if I'm not mistaken.
By death.
By death. A forfeit by explosion.
Actually, well, correction. You are allowed to leave the bubble, but then you are not allowed back in. If you try and get back in, your aircraft will explode. And
Gotcha.
Obviously, your whole team has been shut down. Then blue wins the bubble, let's say, for example, and then the round is over.
Well, once again, we're seeing RS is definitely electing to take a formation approach. This is not fighting wing. It's I'd almost even elect to call it maybe fingertip, but it's a wedge. So they're staying together. We'll see how that develops for them. And of course, I think everybody's hoping to see the best out of this boy. No one was really prepared to see the MiG-29, except of course RS. As you said before, we've seen great employments from Matty in the MiG-29 in the past, using his fantastic ability to get those Fox 1s out to their best range. Hopefully he'll be able to continue it, man. That MiG-29 does look good. Oh, just got to take in the beauty for a minute. All right, now the fight's developing. It looks like RS is continuing to come straight in. Now they haven't, I'm sure they're all fenced in, but they haven't gone hot. They are almost skirting TMC here, with TMC tail still outside the flight zone, not in afterburner. Maybe looking to get some more altitude or speed before coming in. Perhaps a bit of a delay here. About 15 miles behind the leads, guys, though. It's quite a lot. And look, you know, it looks like, Rich, we're seeing what we wanted to see out of TMC here. We've got a nice wall formation coming in. Not the most even spread, but it definitely looks like they are all here and all ready to make the most out of their planning. The Vipers heading in first. No, maybe this isn't quite a wall. Maybe it was more of, it looked like a wall, but it looks like the Vipers are first in.
Yeah, those Tomcats are on a delay, because I think if they check now towards the Bandits, you would have that sort of line, but it seems the F-16s are going to head in first, while the Tomcats are going to stay in the crank.
Oh, those TMC skins are nice and clean. I am so upset that I messed up getting the RS skins installed for this, because they also look fantastic. Now the player on... Oh, hold on. Kingston's done a switcheroo. The Talds have been removed. Perhaps he was told off by himself, or perhaps he changed his mind. That the Talds are not an effective player-killing weapon. All right, looks like RS continuing to hold a bit of a formation here. Once again, nobody is hot except for Aaron in the SU-33 versus Fresh and Dauber in the F-16s. Let's take a look at both of them and hope that TACView doesn't poop itself. It didn't. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, we've got these two Vipers in their spread. They're at 30-some thousand feet. They are descending, but they're picking up a lot of speed. Still sub-Mach, but making their way up. Of course, Aaron in the SU-33 is a little bit lower, and descending maybe a bit faster, but both teams definitely looking at getting Mach, but they're really staying in that transonic region. Oh, we have the first maneuver here. A left crank, and it looks like the entirety of TMC fencing in here now.
Okay, we have a missile launch from the main RS group.
Oh, we do have a missile launch, an R-27ER. That is a long-range shot out of Maddie, I believe. Indeed, it is out of Maddie. Long-range shot. I wonder who that's tracked on. My goodness, that looks like... that looks like looks like they're going for a 40-50 mile shot on that R-27ER. Aaron now headed south, skirting the F-16s that were sent out to deal with him first. And a second R-27ER, this one out of the J-11. Oh, they might be both out of Plasma. I forgot about that J-11.
Second ER from Plasma, first ER from Maddie.
All right. Oh, missiles. First missile, first ER is definitely tracking something. One like equals one prayer for the ER. Hope it can track. Who's it going for? That's the question. Oh, it might have been defeated. It looks like it has either been defeated or run out of energy. And, ooh, we have returns. We have an AIM 54C Mark 47. Not the best motor. It's not the Mark 60, but it is still a good motor. In return, and an SD-10. Both of these missiles are looking good. They're fast.
SD-10 on Maddie looks...
Oh, Maddie. Oh, but Maddie is already defending that missile. Turning his energy, his potential energy, into kinetic energy. Getting that altitude dumped for speed in gate. Making sure he does not eat that return shot. The SD-10 is still tracking. Oh, boy. He's running. You can hear the jet noise. There he is. Ah, but he breaks away, and the missile just has no energy.
Oh, second
Good
SD-10
defense.
From, TMC. I hope someone doesn't turn into this hot.
Oh,
I think that's
no.
exactly what just happened with Plasma.
Oh, no.
Plasma.
Did Plasma just eat a missile from low Earth orbit? It's tracking. Oh, and Plasma's the first to go down. That is RS with the first loss. TMC first kill. Follow-up missiles are where? Oh, that ET is fast. That ET is so fast. In fact, I completely missed taking a picture of it. That was unfortunate. Another Phoenix. The Tomcats are doing a good job getting their Phoenixes out. Now this Phoenix, oh no, this is a bit of a concern. So that was a mountain. Bit of a slideshow? Oh, that is unfortunate. We'll go back to just looking at DCS for now and hope that fixes the slideshow.
I'm 120C on fresh, but he's also supersonic. I think he's going to get away, but he might need to put a few Gs on.
Oh. Can he escape it?
I think, yeah, defeated.
Completely
Close.
in the muck, though. Completely in the muck. Yep, missile is defeated. Who's back in, where, and how?
Got another Phoenix out of Kingston.
Kingston getting another Phoenix. We've seen a lot of Phoenixes. This is maybe the best use of Phoenixes, but TMC is low. Tail, J11, 2.4 as altitude. That's the lowest here. RS definitely high, including Finch, 9X,
I need to watch
with
out
all
for
his
that,
missiles, but one up at altitude and way in the back. The Su-33 is pushing in close.
You never want to put your tail to a flanker at altitude because he's going to start skating ETs on all your cold fighters. So when they turn back in, it's
don't,
night.
and he's definitely still got 2 ETs left. Man, that is just an absolutely decked out 33. In fact, that 33 has not fired a missile.
Aaron is in a really good position to start shooting some ETs on cold fighters. If he's able to get those locks, I think we could see.
But he's got to work fast. Fresh turned back in. Has an AIM 120 out for him.
Unfortunately, I think the opportunity is slowly slipping through his fingers. He does.
I think it's quite quickly slipping, but he's got a missile out. Now he's defensive and down.
Oh, yeah. That's
is he going to...
ET on Dobber. Dobber needs to stay cold now, or he's going... If he tries to turn in, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
But is it a trade? 20 is looking good. Pull some Gs, put some more G on, put some more G on. Oh, not enough Gs. That is a second flanker down. And that ER is...
Oh, my mistake.
That ET is... It is an ER, isn't it? It is dead.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
That is unfortunate because that definitely had the speed required to catch Dauber. Had that been an ET...
Yeah. That was a good opportunity to employ an ET.
Well, now we've got a 6-on-4... But RS still has Finch back here. All his missiles, all his altitude. Looks like he could really come in and be the support that these guys that are down low need to get back in. Oh, Matty low, though.
Kind of thinking outside the box here. I think RS might still have an advantage because they still have 2 fighters high and TMC are all clumped up down low. So if those 2 high fighters can make some good sorts, then... I feel like we could equalize, or maybe even. I
think that Finch and Please Don't Shoot Me would be incredibly useful, and I think it's what we're seeing happen here. They're pushing in, allowing Fruitcake time to get back up to altitude, reset the fight. Matty does not care anymore. He is going for blood against Mori.
Yes.
120C out from Fresh. Oh, is it going to track? Matty fires and turns. A 77 out of Matty. Does he have the speed? Man, that missile is cooking it. It's tracking. Oh! Just barely dodges it. My God.
Oh, here we go. Please Don't Shoot Me, and Finch are getting the 120s off.
Oof. The 120s are coming out. Please Don't Shoot Me. Now avoiding returns. Dauber dodging fast. Does not make it. Oh. Not enough Gs and not enough speed. That's a 16 down. TMC is now a 4v3. They did get a trade in there, but the RS squadron. Oh, we have an ET out. And it's tracking. And it's close. Oh, no. The flares are out, and the flares do defeat the missile. It craves the forbidden heat signature. Oh, but he takes him out with a 77. Oh my God. And I wasn't looking, too busy looking at the forbidden heat signature. We are now in a 3v3, and the altitude advantage continues to stay. Well, I think it's been neutralized. 77 out of Matty. He's low. In fact, if anything, RS... Oh, no. Oh, no. Fruitcake. No.
Okay. The lake. The AMRAAM of the lake.
The AMRAAM does want the lake. No, Fruitcake might be out of 120s at this point. We saw him. Yeah, Fruitcake down to only his heaters. He's going to have to go Brawl. Speaking of Brawl, Maddie low underneath the clouds.
Oh, good.
Not very fast. 77s all off.
I think this is going to be... yeah.
Oh, Maddie lost. But does he trade on fresh?
7. Oh, come on.
It's tracking. It's tracking. It's tracking right into the ground. Oof.
Yeah, lost it in the split there,
Maddie put up a great fight so far, and that was a lot of good brawls. He's actually completely switched the tables around. TMC had the altitude advantage, but now they don't. But here's a question: does TMC have the missile advantage? Fruitcake still decently armed, still got 120 and some Sparrows. Out cold at low altitude. Death Angel and the Tomcat still got 2 Phoenixes, still got 2 Sparrows. The Motley Crew definitely have been conservative with their missiles, and now might be the time where that comes back to bite RS. They definitely went out fighting, and even despite the fact that they were at a player disadvantage, they were able to bring it back quite a bit closer, but they've used up a lot of their missiles. I'm sure they've used up a lot of their fuels, and TMC seems to be poised to strike. The only aircraft that looks like it's anything close to being Winchester is the Viper, which is probably also close to being Bingo Fuel.
Interesting to know, I think Tail hasn't fired a single missile.
You think Tail hasn't fired a single missile? I concur. Tail has all of his ordnance still, which is the second time we've seen a flanker used in this manner. Of course, the Su-33 on RS only fired off 1 missile, definitely trying to use the massive amount of payload that these Sukhois have to their advantage by keeping them in reserve almost, perhaps using their good speed, fuel, and engines to make them great missile bait. And now TMC a bit rejoined. Looks like they're sort of resetting the flight. Fruitcake running gets their reset, coming back in. Now, Fruitcake only rocking these 9Ms. No 9Xs, only with the 9Ms. God, these pilots are doing great flying here, making sure to not overextend their energy, but Flinch still low. In fact, Flinch very low, and in the soup, Flinch, there's a mountain in front of you. Pull up, buddy. He misses the mountain. Well, definitely knows the terrain, but he's got to gain more altitude. Flinch, there's more hill in front of you. Oh my god, it's just absolute soup chaos down here.
I'm wondering what's going on here, because I thought TMC would kind of go for the throat now they're not under pressure and able to climb back up to altitude to kind of, out reach them. But yeah, it seems both teams are kind of electing to... Yeah,
we're going to switch over. We're going to check both real quick. Take a look at this TAC view. I'm wondering if that blue E3... Oh, no, now the E3 should be able to pick out both their aircraft. We'll go back to DCS because... I was wondering perhaps they couldn't find... Well, now both Fruitcake and Finch are low in the mountains. Well, we're looking at about 0 feet for Finch here. Finch, once again, deciding it is, in fact, Top Gun. Woo! He's staying low.
But,
pulling some maneuvers here.
If RS were off the data link, then TMC did make a good call. If they didn't have any SA to kind of reset towards friendly ground and then come back in.
Indeed, and
it's got to be what's going on.
I think that is what's going on here. TMC is still playing conservatively, and that may be what ends up taking this round for them. It's not decided yet, and it's still close, but the missile advantage and the altitude advantage are definitely on TMC's side. I mean, the missile advantage is well on TMC's side. Tail, as we've said before, not fired a missile yet, able to fire missiles willy-nilly almost. Can definitely make use of that infamous R-77ER followed up by an R-77ET launch pattern that we see a lot of red pilots use. But it looks like the fight's coming back. Low altitude, perhaps grouped up. RS is ready to take it to them. Staying well below the cloud layer in the soup. And a little patch of sunshine there. Now they've got their missiles up front, perhaps trying to clear away, or perhaps trying to get launches from down low. Oh, but it doesn't matter because clouds do not obfuscate an ET.
Come on,
this missile is zooming.
So, unfortunately, shooting ETs at hot targets are kind of. I don't know if it had track.
I don't know if it had track either. It seems that it's... Oh, and I think we've just heard it fly over both
Yeah,
aircraft.
it didn't have a tone, unfortunately, from the looks of it.
Didn't have a tone. And an AIM-120 in return, the last AIM-120 for RS here. It's lofting, but I don't think it's got... I don't think it's got the range.
Yeah.
Looking for a Chinese spy balloon, perhaps, but...
That seems that's its mission
certainly
now.
not looking for an aircraft at this point. It is continuing to pitch up even more. I think this missile, well and truly defeated.
Ooh, Death Angel at 25,000, close range. Maybe some high-low Phoenix action here.
Oh, boy. Oh, the inverted pitch.
He's trying to find fruitcake.
He's looking for it. I bet he's in PAL. Jester might be telling him unable in the back seat. You might have a Rio telling him the same thing. He is very fast. Looks like he's decided he doesn't want to get that close. Oh, an AIM-120 out of fresh. This is his last 120 Charlie, not the last missile of TMC. Going into the soup, what is it going to find?
Oh, no. Fruitcake.
It's definitely tracking. It's tracking.
Is he going to play for a notch here? Oh, no.
Oh, he does not make it. Out of the soup, but not out of the radar scope. Surprise, surprise. Not at all. That is an unfortunate loss. And another R-27, this time an ER. Trailing in, going for Finch. You know, Finch, I want to believe. 2 Sparrows, 2 heaters, that's more than enough missiles by 1. I want to believe, but I don't know. That R-27 ER is definitely tracking. You can see these minor course adjustments as it slowly realizes it needs to reach out just ever so much further to hit the retreating target. Does it have the speed? It's hard to tell. In the soup, everything looks the same. It does not have the speed. Finch continuing to reset the fight. But he's going to have to do something.
TMC, I think they just need to, it's 3 versus 1. I think they just need to get together and just, chase him down, because I would hate to see them to go 1 by 1, and let's say by some miracle, Finch is able to kill them 1 by 1, bringing them now, let's say, down to a 1 versus 2, 1 versus 1,
Yeah.
Where if they stick all together as a free ship, nice and close, his options are very limited.
Yes, indeed. I would like to see TMC coordinate a push in here, considering the fact that they are concerned to go over those mountains. I'm wondering if they are just unable to find Finch on the data link. Oh, Finch getting rid of those extra drag pylons. He doesn't need them. Looking behind him.
There is
yeah, he's going back in here.
Of the E3 in the cold aspect.
Perhaps. But he's coming back around.
Yeah, so
turn hot. It looks like TMC, this could be in his favor. TMC have chosen this point in time to turn cold. Looks like Fresh, the first one to come back hot. Completely Winchester on his long-range air-to-air weapons, which means he's going to have to get in close, and that's not something you want to do when you're fighting a Sparrow. He will outrange you. Tail in the J-11 has the most missiles still, but very low altitude. He's got 1 ER, 1 ET left, as well as the 277s, the active missiles that we sort of said was an answer to the 120. Not quite. The range isn't there, and I don't think the guidance is totally there either, as we saw one of the 77s earlier get leaded right into the ground. That Finch is missing that 120C that ended up going into the lake. Okay, Finch now up at altitude, continuing to climb, side skating, and it looks like Death Angel and the Tomcat doing the same here. Not quite purely in the notch, but both of them gaining altitude, with Fresh coming up behind, and Tail enjoying a nice cruise through the clouds, possibly resetting here.
I wonder if TMC's posture would change if they knew he was only down to Sparrows and 9Ms.
I wonder that too. I wonder if they are concerned about the number of actives.
People, for the audience and ourselves, we obviously know what's going on with missile counts, but when you're in the aircraft, it's very counting missiles.
Indeed.
Is kind of a if people can do that, more power to you. But this is it. They need to treat him like, he's still got all his 120s, because you just don't know. So that's probably why we're seeing TMC be very passive right now, where it kind of looks like they could just go straight for the throat if they wished. But
Yeah.
I think we do have Death Angel here on cutoff.
On cutoff or being cut off? Looks like Finch is, well, is Death Angel turning in here? Death
Yeah,
Angel is turning in hot. Got those cans all lit up.
And Finch is now 25,000, so is Death Angel, so, M54
Oh, we'll see if...
Not the best, but better than on the deck.
Indeed. I expect to see the AIM-54 come off here any moment.
Finch turning cold.
But nothing. Oh, Finch turning out a little bit tentatively here. RS seems to be picking up that conservative playstyle that TMC was dishing out earlier.
Actually, I think we get the jaws are closing here. Tail is also nose pure to Finch.
Tail nose pure. Not truly 90 degrees off aspect, something more like 60. Oh, there we go.
Double missile
the
launch.
The inverted launch. Tails launched in. Phoenix launched in. Oh, that thing's continuing to burn as it course corrects. Oh my god, the rocket motor on that is so loud. We've got a lot of missiles here. Looks like the Phoenix is going to be the first one for it. That Phoenix continuing to burn. It's still burning. Just finished the burn, and there is nothing that RS can do to stop that. That Phoenix came all the way in. Well, to the point, that's now all players dead on red. That's RS out of this match. TMC still has to make it back and land, but they do have the benefit of a nice low-altitude runway, which means they don't have to land through the clouds. Sure, we'll see them do a nice flight back. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of those moments in the TAC view. Let's first break down that last launch here against Finch with Tail and Death Angel. Now, as we can see here, right, bring this nice top down. You can see they've starting to, like Rich just said, they're starting to close the jaws. Finch can keep running to get away from Death Angel, but he's just running into Tail. Continue to go closer and closer, and we see the Tomcat fire off its missile, go inverted because that's cool. At the same time, actually, those launches were almost perfectly synchronized out. Interesting enough, what are the distances here? It looks to me like Finch was maybe overwhelmed with missiles. They seem to have tried to avoid the ER first, probably not quite far enough for the AIM-54C to not go pitbull immediately. It doesn't matter. That missile had so much energy by the time it hit the target. You can see it is continuing to pick up energy. So we get closer and closer. It only just starts running out when it gets to that thicker air, and that's more than enough to kill his Sparrow in return. Not enough. Let's take a look at that early fight, because it definitely seemed to be going in RS's favor. That first set of ER launches definitely got reactions, even if they didn't get kills. And the response SD-10 and AIM-54Cs, they just didn't quite have it. Maddie was able to just ever so slightly skate that SD-10. Coming back in here, Plasma's the first one to go down. Fires an ET that does not have track and takes that missile. No, we thought Plasma was in a great position at this point in the match. Out in front, firing off the missiles, letting his team get the reset. Ends up taking it. Mori, from definitely behind the pack where he fires this missile, catches Plasma a bit by surprise. What are your thoughts?
So this is actually something we ran into a lot in our semi-final with ETF last year, and it can happen to any aircraft. It doesn't have to be a flanker, but it's like when you get that active launch while you're in the crank, and then as you're pitching back in to kind of put your own shot out, it goes active in your face, and you've already spent energy in the turn to turn in hot. you know, you're now low on energy. You know, the only hope is, you'd gain some after your missile launch and come back out. But that's it. Unfortunately, Plasma was just caught out having an active in his face, and it's a pretty classic way to go. Unfortunately, it's just what it
Unfortunately,
is.
yeah. Next shots. Who was the first loss here? We did see a couple runners. I think was it Kingston? Who was the first frag? It was Aaron. That's right, because RS lost 2 pilots off the bat. Despite Aaron was somebody else that we thought had great positioning for some fantastic ET shots, maybe on Dauber, who was cold and running away. Puts an ER out on Dauber, which is unfortunate because he ends up eating the 120C. Doesn't put enough Gs here now, trying to lose altitude in this crank to try and get this missile to get into the thicker air. I would have put the Gs on sooner, and I would have put more on. 6 Gs was not enough to out-G that missile. You can see it's tracking him the whole way through. And of course, by losing altitude when the missile was so close, as he probably could have seen off his internal data link that MAMRAM launch was quite close, that thing is going to be burning down, and that's never good because that means the missile is picking up more energy than it should be in a typical descent. It takes us a little bit for us to get our next fight, which RS Maddie, of course, everybody's favorite underdog so far,
But
coming in low.
chip in on that last that Su-33, because if the fortunes of RS were going to change, and again, it's my opinion, because again, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I feel like if he was able to get a couple of some ETs out on some cold targets, I feel like they would have been on Dobber. That would have been a confirmed kill, I'm pretty sure, and then maybe a second one. I think that could have changed the tides there.
Indeed, and
that's where I'd put the flag, so to speak, on where I'd say the fortunes could have switched for the teams, and we could have had an RS victory. I feel like that's where the important moment is.
Yeah, I agree. It also didn't help that when RS did start coming back and start taking names for themselves, they ended up trading most of the time. Wow, that was very close. In fact, maybe it's desync. Oh, it was the R77. This is the one we missed. The spiral dump flares R77 right in the face. Kingston just can't do anything at that range. That missile is in its best position there. Now, this is where we thought RS had brought it back. It was down to a 3v3. They had the altitude advantage, and they were able to pick it back up, lost it, and then gave it to TMC. TMC came in. Maddie just close in and unfortunately eats a 120 to the face, trying to get something to happen, is unable to trade with Fresh. What would you have liked to see from RS at this position, Rich, after the kill on Kingston, with Maddie so far out, both the Hornets low from, well, it doesn't fully make sense why. They had defeated a missile.
Yep.
And ran cold with it, but Fruitcake, only at 17,000, could have definitely used this time to climb up higher, get some more range out of his 120s. It kind of doesn't.
So he's not doing very well on his Mach number. Usually you kind of want to climb, because you need speed to sort of, that's where the risk is with having altitude. If your indicated airspeed isn't matching what you're doing altitude-wise, you get a launch warning. You're just stuck, in the stalling basically, because you're just not going fast enough. So in relation to his speed, I feel like he's kind of where he wants to be. I feel like if he tried to push it a little higher, he'd start to, his indicated airspeed would lower. So if he did get a launch warning, he'd be in a lot of trouble. But that's energy management. That's bread and butter. Okay, I wanna get a 30,000. How do I get there with enough indicated speed that I'm able to defend missiles from that altitude?
Rich, can Death Angel land at the wrong airfield?
Nope, has to be home plate. But it's as long as a single aircraft makes it down.
Ooh. DCS doesn't like loading in after all that. TMC tail asking if they're supposed to hold the zone for 5 minutes. They are not.
Yep.
Worried about that.
Bubble is,
and Death Angel might have heard the news that my cop is not Sochi Adler, and does have to make it back to home plate. But it looks like Fresh and Tail are making their way back. For a moment, I couldn't see Death Angel all the way up there. Thought he might have crashed.
Well,
But
there is TACAN provided on all airfields, so no excuses. I
no
imagine the mountain
excuses.
range could have probably blocked the signal, perhaps. But and hey, you got an
I
INS in that thing. I
I
think
think that
maybe.
it might have just been a bit of confusion, perhaps looking at what could have been the closer airfield. We don't quite know their fuel states. Oh, man, now this brawl with Matty was something that I think was great to see. It's unfortunate he couldn't pull the snipe on Fresh. I think that was a good match. I think that the upper hand shifted between teams quite a lot, and it wasn't solely reliant on missiles, Mach number, and numbers. You know, I think each team was able to make the best out of their situation at a lot of point in those times until we just saw TMC, where we kind of got a little bit disappointed that they weren't being so aggressive against Finch and Fruitcake. We're eventually able to turn it around, and they... you can see Finch and Fruitcake wanted to take 1v1s to make that number go in their favor, do a bit of a defense in detail, but now, you know, just unable to get the situation they want and let TMC end up building a pretty good spread on them, but definitely looks like they were tumbleweed a couple times in that fight. Let's go ahead and just watch the
when you're up that many,
flight back home.
You know, the victory is basically, you know, well, never say never, but you know what I mean. You don't want to throw away your advantage. And again, like I say, they probably didn't know he was down to only sparrows, so, you know, caution being observed there. So I think that's totally fair.
Indeed. Oof, I'm getting a bit of a slideshow on my end. A lot of clouds for DCS to render. Poor OBS is taking up too much memory. Watch it in the F10 view a bit.
Only the most high quality clouds.
Only the most high quality of clouds with the most high quality of frame rate issues. Probably not the... I was excited when I saw it was 3. We saw people fighting in the soup. No one hit the mountain, which is good on them. RS wasn't scared of flying into the mountain range. I mean, we saw, especially during the 2v3 at the end there, they were more than happy to take their chances between those hills. Good flying. You know, low visibility. Your radar altimeter only shows below you and not the ground in front of you.
In front of you, exactly.
You know, I thought for certain we were going to lose at least one of those Hornets, but both of them were able to clearly understand the airspace around them, and even when they pulled maneuvers at low altitudes, they were well within the region of their aircraft to do it and not touch the mountain, which I want to give a kudos to both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for those, because it may seem pretty simple to people that don't do a lot of flying in adverse weather, but it really does change a lot of your decision making on what you do through, you know, your defending and how you, you know, let's say for the classic notching, you know, you got to get low, but getting low, you need to get into the clouds. You just don't know what's in front of you at that point. So for both teams not to have a C-fit, like that's, you know, achievement on its own.
Yeah. Looks like TMC has elected not to formation their way back home. First one to get their wheels down wins the game. No need to faff about with looking pretty.
They're just here to kill.
Indeed. Indeed. This is all a formality at this point. They've done their killing. Now they're on their way home. Kingston will have walked home by now, making tea and crumpets for everybody.
Hope I get one.
Hope I get one. I've certainly sent a request for some snacks from TMC. Told them if you give me snacks, I'll lie about how good you guys are. But no, I'm only joking. TMC and RS, both pilots at the top of their game in those groups, both really coming at it with the best they had. I like to think I'd love to be able to get a mic'd up, you know, just a voice into what the pilots are saying as they sit ready and waiting. As a pilot who's flown, obviously, for 51st in this match, for you guys, you know, without releasing any trade secrets, of course, what do you guys talk about when you're waiting for that fight to start? You're rolled up on the match, you know, you're on the runway, everyone's got to get in position, it's just, you know, sitting there waiting for the countdown to happen. What goes on?
Silence.
there you have it. 51st is a dedicated group, and they don't fuck about. They don't actually talk at all. There's no speaking in 51st throughout the entirety of the match. They know what to do innately now. Of course,
So
once the
jokes
fight
aside-
happens, I'm sure the comms are quite full.
Oh no. So, we're humans at the end of the day. It is what it is. But yeah, we once we line up, that's when everyone gets locked in, squared away. And then from there it's brevity forward until the round is over, either in a victory or a defeat.
Ooh. DCS has decided it is unhappy.
When is DCS ever happy?
I don't know.
Neither do I. I've been asking myself the same question for like half
Does
a year
anybody?
running now.
Woo. She's real mad. Trying to get some nice pictures as the guys land here. Looks like Fresh will be the first in. They're just going to do some simple and easy straight ins.
Yeah, nice and simple. Don't take risks.
No
Also,
need.
Death Angel seems to have caught up.
Death Angel has figured out the right airfield and has found the afterburner. Yeah, definitely was able to catch himself up. Let's go ahead and update our scores. That is RS 0. TMC 1. Good stuff, TMC.
That's it now. Can they press their advantage and make it 2-0 or stumble?
Do they stumble? You know what? I'm not even going to say that. I'll call it a stumble. I think what we'd see if we see this go 1-1, what we end up seeing here is RS take a quick breather, go over what they've just done, turn it back around, and come in. What the hell is this landing profile? Is Tail coming in first? Fresh is landing on the boat somewhere, and Death Angel is the lowest altitude. What are we looking at?
But
DCS like to work now.
I think RS definitely have a chance to come back here. I feel like it's just like how it plays out at the end of the day. So yeah, I think TMC need to not come off the gas pedal, and win it out clean. Or I think RS may make a comeback.
Indeed. I think I've figured out why no one's landed yet. Sochi Adler is entirely in the schmuck, but Tail's coming in. Found the TAC and found the ILS. Has he found the gear lever? Man, he's low and you can barely see the ground. Well, Rich, what happens if TMC can't get anybody on the ground?
Well, it's if TMC are unable to get free aircraft on the ground, then yeah, it's a tie, and we'll have to.
It's a tie.
Decider. Yeah, we'll have to go again.
We talked at the beginning of stream that some of us want to see a tie. We want to see both of these teams perform at their best, and we kind of want to see them perform as much as we can. I think at this point, I would hope TMC can get the win. They've definitely worked for it.
Well, they do have free aircraft.
F-14B. They have 3 attempts. Yeah. It is certainly hard to see. There is all right, we've got another approach. This one low, looking for the airfield. They're looking for it. I thought we were all out of entertainment here, but we might have some still.
You win the round as far as the BVI is concerned, but then you lose it due to not being able to recover the aircraft.
Oh, he's found the runway. The runway, that's not a landing approach.
I think this is like a Navy break or some sort, maybe.
A Navy break? I think this is a... I can't see the airfield until I fly on top of it. The bad weathers are much harder IRL than it seems. Oh, I'm sure the bad weather matches add a ton of different things for people to have to deal with. I think I know why DCS is so angry. It's raining and snowing at the same time. SATAC Discord, if you guys want to check out SATAC. Join for yourself. You can join the Discord. Tech has just posted. Member 51st, the organizing group for SATAC. Tomcat does seem to have figured out how it's going to land. Little fast. Lot of fast. Oh, whoa. All right, he's out of the break. Squirrely. All he has to do is get it down. Definitely he's going to get it down. Is he going to get it down in one piece? He is.
I think he ran out of fuel. His engines aren't.
Oh my God, I think you're right. I think he was able to land with his last ounce of fuel. I'm impressed. He definitely, when he went into his brake, he definitely had fuel and runs off the runway.
Yep.
Bet you we'll see him go into oversweep there. A fantastic landing by the Tomcat from TMC, making use of every drop of fuel. They paid for it to bring it up in there. They're going to make sure they use it to land with. I hear another jet somewhere.
I'll give,
I feel like a Second World War spotter before they had a radar.
In the interest of time, if they're unable,
you know what? It looks like they will. Tail now coming in on the auxiliary runway.
But this is
for landing.
confirmed now. 1 point to TMC.
1 point to TMC. I might have given it a little bit early.
Well, it's.
I had faith.
Call a spade a spade. Same here. I had faith as well.
I had faith. These pilots are good enough to fight at this level. They're good enough to land their airplanes.
You would hope that they could, recover the aircraft at the end of the fight.
Indeed.
You would hope that it isn't just a one-way trip for them.
For some of us it would be. Viper, what?
Oh boy.
This Viper brake comes out. Oh, there are the spoilers. A little speedy.
Oh, he is screaming in.
He really is. He's getting ground affected out. No, he unable to do a flare, probably because it would cause him to take off.
Oh yeah, so no flare, so he's completely on his wheel brakes. Oh boy, ground crew not going to be happy with those. They're hot brakes.
Oh, go away, G-Force experience. Why do you have to exist? Long runway.
Why do you not want driver updates every 5 minutes?
I want to be able to hit Control F3 so I can watch him go zooming away at the end of that runway. Boy, making use of the whole runway there without getting a pop-up window.
That's 60% more runway per runway. Alrighty.
Alright.
Let's reset and get ready for round 2.
For round 2, we'll give the teams the time they need. We'll go ahead and run the trailer video, guys, for you once again, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes. So stay seated, because round 2 is probably going to be just as much of on the edge of our seats fighting as this one was. And we're back. Ready for round 2 of TMC versus RS. Now, they're going to switch positions. RS started at Mozdok. TMC started at Sochi. They're going to flip that around. You know what? We are not ready for round 1. Thank you very much. We are ready for round 2. We're going to flip that around. Now, TMC will start at Mozdok. RS will start at Sochi. That'll be RS on the left side. TMC on the right side. TMC will now be red. Get the players as they filter their way into the server, get into their slots, get their planes started up. Hopefully, we've found and identified why it was that we were struggling so much to show you both screens at the same time. I'm very smart and was accidentally streaming to Rich live on Discord.
Just blame it on DCS.
Sorry, DCS was mad.
DCS bad.
DCS turned on my Discord stream for some weird reason. Don't know now. So hopefully we fix that. Hopefully that'll help solve the choppy frame rate issues. We'll take a look at that again. If not, unfortunately, I won't be able to use the side-by-side panel today, but we will get it worked out for the future. But in practice, it worked without me sharing Twitch to Rich. That's a funny way of saying it. So I think it'll work again. We were just talking, Rich, about what we want to see from these guys here in this second round. What we want to see out of RS and what we want to see out of TMC while everybody was watching that wonderful trailer. Why don't we share it with the rest of the people here? What do you want to see RS do differently to try and press home and turn it into a runoff, get this into a 1-point all match?
This is it. I feel like both teams are very evenly matched, and RS just had some bad luck, like with Plasma, for example, and the Su-33 obviously having a good position, but kind of unfortunately wasn't able to make anything happen. So inside of maybe what's possible within the locker room talk, I guess. Yeah, just go again and just try and not get like how does one not get unlucky? But I feel like that could have
go ahead and reset your luck, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of difficult when the teams are so evenly matched to kind of break it out. One thing from TMC, obviously, I feel like they could improve is they kind of, near the end of the fight, they were kind of breaking down and getting into that big clump, and I felt like RS had a big advantage by having 2 Hornets up high. So at least that's something I would give to TMC. But for RS, I feel like, with what they're doing right now, I feel like if they just did the same again and, like I said, hopefully not run into too much trouble, with the missile out of nowhere and, not being able to convert that advantage with the flanker. I think it should be a lot more in their favor this time around.
Seeing some of the issues there with missiles that require guidance all the way to target. The words of Sensei Rich, just be lucky. You don't have to be good. But of course, RS is good. What about TMC? We saw him be very conservative throughout that fight, and I think towards the end of the fight, as it played out, it ended up being in their favor, but definitely I think people watching, and both of us, wanted to see a bit more aggression out of TMC. Do you think that they should listen to us and be more aggressive, or do you think they should stick with what worked, keep that conservative mentality, which is what we've seen from TMC in past matches as well? Play it smart, play it safe, play it long.
Well, again, if that's where they're whatever they're comfortable with, like obviously aggression is good, but you got to be able to sort of control it. because otherwise you end up just, flying in and getting splashed one by one. If RS do start sort of playing for those cold ET skates or on cold targets, that's where sort of the passiveness kind of isn't in your favor anymore. So maybe that's where doing what TMC is currently doing now, they may lose some pilots. But I just think TMC just, not come off the gas and go all the way now, because you do get that a lot with teams. Okay, we've won the first round, let's take it easy. If anything, you wanna double down, and make sure you win sort of clean.
So still getting into slots now. Correct me if I'm wrong again, and I don't want to be wrong twice in one stream. The pilots will be in the same airframes they were last time around. Once they've chosen their aircraft, they're not allowed to change. But they can change their loadout.
Absolutely. If they want to change their payload or do anything with that, that's absolutely okay. But the airframes stay as is. So, because that's
taking
it
down
now,
a
it's all
meme
on the
empire
table.
in SATAC. Those of you watching in chat, you saw that message that Tech sent earlier with a link for the SATAC Discord. It sounds like the RS guys are making sure that even if they might have lost the first round, but they're not losing the meme war.
Oh, no.
Might be worth checking out. I haven't seen it myself. I'll take a look after stream, but it's a good it's a good mentality. We've seen a lot of this out of teams here this year, and it's just great to see as somebody who's coming from a bit of an outside perspective. Good sportsmanship. Teams, get shot down. Teams lose a round. Teams lose a match, and it's almost consistent across the board. Good stuff. Good fight. We learned. You won't win next time, which is really what you want to see. I mean, that's the mentality that you need for a competition like this. And I haven't seen no anger. I've seen no name calling. No reverting to type.
You might want to open up the chat and have a look.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, you're good.
Being meme lords.
There is
we're not winning. Oh, no. Oh, never mind. They're not sportsmen towards me. I am the one who's throwing the match. Oh, of course.
Oh, boy.
Can't believe it. I can't believe I threw the match for RS by messing up my install of their liveries, which I'll send them pictures. The liveries are installed. I don't know why they're not showing up. The meme lords and gods. There's another fight between RS and TMC going on behind the scenes. Who memes the best?
There's a fight on the outside, but there's also a fight on the inside. Currently doing battle now in the SATAC meme channel.
Oh, no.
There's two wars going on right now.
They fight a total war, these two teams, as they get themselves set up here. Take a look as they're making their way towards the runway. That's the wrong button. Looks like we've got... Oh, hold on. Tail. Tail has not made it. TMC taking about the same... Yep. TMC looks like, hey, if it worked, if it's not broken, don't fix it. They're going to be taking the same walkout here. Vipers up front. Tomcats together with the 17 behind, and Tail on his own in the 33. Definitely not Kingston. Yeah, well, maybe. Kingston, I've... Whoa. Rich, this is interesting. I'm taking a look at RS here. They're taking off out to sea.
I think I see it. Oh.
They are lining up.
As well?
Have I checked the Hornets? I've not. They're lining up 2-4, which is not the same thing we took last time. Let's take a look. Finch here. What have you taken? That is a lot of Talds. Wow.
Back again.
This is a loadout. This is certainly a loadout. My goodness.
So this may very well prove very detrimental to TMC in the very passive fighting style, because it very much comes down to when you get your nose back in, you got to sort, the quicker you can sort, the more depth you kind of retain in your kind of grinder, let's say. Yeah, you're shooting missiles at things that aren't bandits. They're probably going to start running you down. Yeah.
And that does seem like a great counter to TMC's use of conservative play. Interesting choice, but I'm excited to see it work out well. The Hornets have switch their loadouts. Which side the Talds is on has changed. The takeoff could be interesting, but I have faith in both pilots to do well.
Oh yeah, very interesting.
Let's see the crowd favorite. Same loadout. Matty knows what works, and he's not going to change it. Yep. Same loadout here. Let's take a look. We saw some Talds out of TMC the first time, but they put him away. Maybe Kingston was able to convince his teammates to let him use him again.
Let the decoys do the fighting.
No. Looks like they were definitely pleased with the work of the 4 Phoenixes between the 2 Tomcats, and they are going to be continuing with that standard loadout there. Do we have the J11? Does the J11 have Jim? It does. The J11 is bringing the ECM pods. We've basically seen everybody bring the ECM pods. Except for a couple 51st members. But, Hornets have inbuilt ECM, obviously. Now, realistically, that's from the radar and only in front, but in this competition, in DCS, that will be a bubble around the aircraft. So, we've seen pilots use it before. 343 in their fight with RS. Hornet pilot Starry Fox 9 did try to use ECM. Ended up having some issues with it. I think might have missed clicking the right button a couple times in a row.
I think
got himself... Did it? I thought if I were, you're right.
I was looking on the type view, and so I obviously made that first pass kill with home on jam. I nearly got Starry Fox in round 2, but his jammer went off at just the right second. It was more than just a second. Let's say 10. It was about 10 seconds left to impact, and the jam went, and thus the missile lost track. So I don't know. Maybe the jammer not appearing to work may have actually been a blessing.
It was all a lie. It worked the whole time.
Now I had time to sort of sit down and review those tap views. But yeah, I
tell you what, everybody's looking forward to that update from ED to get us into multi-threading. If you guys can't quite make out the chat, we're all complaining about low FPS on the ground. All right.
That sounds like a GPU skill issue to me.
Team's ready.
What do I know?
A bit, isn't it?
that is a joke, by the way. Like,
of course.
Don't go take that and run with it. That is
GPS skill issue. That's just a GPU skill issue is not the fault of anybody. Each team has the stuff they have, and as we see here,
you do the best he can do.
Plasma has 6 SPF. 6 SPF. He's got 6 SPF sunscreen on now. 6 FPS with a 4090. So it seems like there's no winning. We are all suffering frame rates today. Well, let's get both teams ready. Plasma said he had to take a... All right, Plasma has stood up a last-minute bio break before taking off. That's fine. Bladder isn't what it used to be. The shame and pains of aging. We'll have to grill him for that in the interviews.
Yeah, holding us all up.
Indeed. I guess I don't need this anymore. Save some more playing the game of closing things down for maximum performance. Rest in peace, Bladder. TMC mourning the loss of Plasma's Bladder. Of course, Plasma third in line for takeoff, so can't quite just start taking off and let him catch up. Otherwise, I think Aaron's going to have some spatial existence problems with that. There's not quite enough room. Let's get a good picture of these guys.
Interesting thing to note for Plasma here in the J11, he's electing to take only a single R77. I think flanker guys, with a bit of experience under their belt, that tends to be the case when they fly a J11. The R77 obviously gives you it's being Fox 3. It's part of your tool belt, especially in the J11. But yeah, that's about it. It's not a very good missile.
It really isn't.
Pretty common.
It's better. I think for the MiG-29, taking 4 of them is definitely in his favor. But despite the fact that it might often be seen as sort of the direct answer to the AIM-120, especially the C model, it really isn't. It doesn't have that range. It doesn't have the kinematics.
Maybe if it got a bit of love from ED, it could possibly be, because again, like the ER, like you say, on the December update, ER definitely got a lot of help from ED's side. But yeah, the thing is with the Big 29 is you can't, you can only take two R27s, and then the rest of your pylons are either 73s or R77s, so the choice is pretty obvious. But that is it with flankers. You are sacrificing an R27 for a 77 at all times. So that's kind of where you have to start making trades.
All right, well, both teams are set, so we're going to get to it. Bladders are empty. Hopefully not the fuel bladders. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fights on. And the Hornets rolling right away. Kind of 1 by 1. That's a very straight takeoff, despite having an asymmetric payload like that. I've never taken off with that payload, but I would almost say without doubt that it would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, if they've tested it, they probably know how much trim to put in to offset that. But,
indeed. Unlike some of us, the players here might actually test their loadouts rather than saying, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't. I just... put some trim in, it'll be alright.
So how much trim? I don't know.
Later. Just some amount.
Well, of course, not the Viper, which is what we're looking at now. Boy, listen to those engines just tear. Good formation takeoff there. It's a shame we didn't see it. Oh, and the Tomcat's doing the same thing a little bit far back here, Death Angel. Please don't get caught in his wake. Death Angel is airborne. These guys know what they're doing. Let's watch the TMC pilot with the jamming pod. Oh, what was that? Mori taking off here. In a very quiet jet. I'm assuming he's not supersonic on the ground, so...
Stealth fighter.
Stealth fighter. Got some soft off the ground. I'm sure the wind is causing these guys quite a bit of pain. And tail airborne, and it's TMC all up. Going once again for the north. RS all up. And they've split. Looks like... Oh, not all up. The Please Don't Shoot Me F-16C, not quite in the air yet. Looks like Aaron might be going out once again in his own direction, headed off towards the north side, while the rest seem to do more or less a straight-in approach on the southern half. And they are. The rest all taking a left-hand turn.
Unfortunately for Please Don't Shoot Me, it seems TMC aren't exactly observing his name here and are proceeding to shoot him, at least.
Very rude, don't you think? Because as we know, DCS usernames are displayed on radars when you lock a target up. And asking so nice, please don't shoot me. I mean, come on, TMC. You gotta show them a little bit of human kindness, but they were just ruthless with the 120 Charlie trade in that first match.
Foxery.
Please don't shoot me. No, I will. Get a look at these two Vipers now. I'm a little bit biased. I think the Viper's my favorite jet. Although I hate that centerline tank. Oh, it angers me so. Now the pilots are good. They get rid of it way before they get into a situation where it would be detrimental, and the extra fuel is, I'm sure, worth it. But the drag that it puts on the jet is just brutal. So I personally don't like it at all. Now, TMC kind of conga lining themselves up north, but keeping a bit of a formation. Definitely interested to see. It looks like the Hornets over at RS staying together. I suspect, if I were a betting man, that we're going to see a spread with Gs, but low Gs, maybe 2 Gs from these Hornets out front, up high, in opposite directions. Synchronized dropping of those towels, or perhaps if they were smart, I think maybe even intentionally asynchronous employment of those towels, just to throw out a wave at the start and try and get get TMC to fire at the wrong missiles. But that might not be the best play. I mean, the towel is a heavy weight and it's a lot of drag, especially having all three of them. I would not be surprised if we saw them jettison the triple ejector rack the moment that they could to get better performance out of the airplane.
But what
there
would be
might
the
be some
best way to
benefit into
employ.
keeping it in the fight, continuing, not just that first pass, because these fights,
I think so too.
especially with the last round, we saw RS and TMC, their fight was 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles. They might try to keep some of these talds in reserve. In fact, what would be extremely interesting to see is if they hold off on talds for that first round, let it
Yep.
act and appear as if they're normal, and then the second circle of that fight, everybody comes back in, and it's just, why are there so many things on my radar? What am I looking at? Talds left, right, and center would be a very interesting thing to see. Oh, RS continuing their, let's stay in a bit of a formation here. Not the tight formations, but still combined. A little bit of a tactical blob, but, when you have intent, it's not quite so blobby.
But
RS decked
just
out
going
with
back
a
to the
ZX
Talds.
Spectrum computer. Some have Commodore 64s.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But
SERP
I
running
tend to
on
agree. Oh yeah.
SERP? What the hell? That's not SERP. SATAC running on 1968 technology. Now, we
I
actually
think if you
should take
drop
a moment
those
here to
Talds
thank.
too early. Oh yeah, absolutely.
We should take a moment to thank SBQR for their servers. Their servers have been great and very stable. A good third party for most of these fights, and definitely beneficial that they were able to offer such professional grade servers for us to fight. Now, what were you saying about those
Absolutely.
Talds?
And obviously very professional staff as well. It's been a pleasure working with them. But yeah, just going back to the towers, because it's something I haven't really given much thought. But I think dropping them too early would be not a good idea. Because again, the idea with the towers is, or you hope, is to cause confusion. But if you drop them sort of at that first moment, they're both teams kind of, or obviously the team you're employing against, they kind of have time to sort of work and sort out, okay, that's a decoy, that's a bandit, that's a
Indeed.
decoy, that's a bandit. But when you start dropping them as you're kind of going hot, cold, especially, as they're gliders, they're quite easy to tell, okay, he's not supersonic, he's like 0.6 Mach, that's a decoy. But, that's it. If you start dropping them as you're spinning around and hot, cold, I feel like that's where the confusion can really start to make an impact on the outcome. So at least that's what I'd
Indeed.
do. I'd save them for about midway through the fight and then start dropping them.
Well, we'll have to see what RS does. I'm sure they've put in quite a few hours of testing to see how they want to employ them best. Both teams about to enter the zone almost at the exact same time. The TALD in BVR combat, of course, the TALD is originally meant to confuse SAM sites, but in BVR combat, it almost is similar to in submarines. They have like a special torpedo that makes a lot of noise to try and emulate the submarine, especially the submarine it's fired from, to try and trick people into shooting at it rather than the submarine. Also to try and pull actively guided sonar torpedoes off the threat. Now, one of the big differences between the TALD and something like a MOS is the MOS can change direction once. It's not wire guided, but you can fire it and turn it. The TALD can't do that. The TALD just goes straight in a line. It's not some of the more advanced ones that are actually capable of maneuvering slightly. Blue takes control of the battle area there. First in RS. TMC not far behind, but not in just yet. 5-minute timer does start, but I doubt they will need to expend much of that time. They'll be in there quite quickly. The lack of ability to turn can make it easy to fire at the wrong aircraft. Or not to fire at the wrong aircraft. The lack of it being able to turn can make it easy to tell, if suddenly one radar contact turns into two, and one's going hot and one's going cold, it's pretty understandable which one the hot aircraft is, but maybe they're just trying to go, there's not enough time when you get into that bit of a melee where you're probably inside about 25 miles, 30 miles, you get into a bit more of a melee, and there's just not that much time to sit there and discern which radar dot is going where. And I think a lot of these guys just aren't used to the TALDs. They're a bit of a meme, but an effective meme that doesn't make a lot of appearance. So I would be not surprised if TMC, in the interviews goes, well, we just haven't fought against TALDs, so they definitely threw us for a loop.
Yeah, I'd love to hear their game plan on that. That is RS. But yeah, this is it. Especially when the fight gets going, you're making split-second decision making because every second is another second that you may be heading towards an active missile in your face. So, you've got to make decisions quick, and the more just, nonsense you've got on the radar that's not important, that looks important, you know, it's just weighing down on your decision making. And, this is it. Mistakes then happen, and you can gain position or kills or whatever from those mistakes. So, yeah, it's not really something you can put numbers to. It's definitely sort of the biological element of it, I guess you could say. Because again, you can't really. I imagine there is some way to kind of break it down to show effectiveness here. The tiles have an effect, mathematically here, but
Well,
it's
we
more of
aren't
just
the
getting the
U.S. Air
decision making.
Force, and we do not have that budget to hire somebody
Yeah,
to do all the
fair.
math. So I think we'll just have to play it a little bit hot and
Just
dirty.
trust in the process. It
Just
works.
trust it, bro. Just trust me. Source, trust me, bro. Tout work. Well,
Uh,
TMC has made their way into the arena. Oh, these gorgeous Vipers. Gotten rid of those fuel tanks. Letting their burners rip. Are they? Yeah, they are. That Viper is hot. First one's in the area. We're gonna see. I think we'll see how do the Vipers deal with the RS Tald play, and who gets engaged first. Maddie and Aaron in the back. Please don't shoot me bringing up a bit of a middle. Looks somewhat like a convoy here with
so
RS.
I love the geometry going on here. As you see these two F-16s from TMC. They start at a crank, but as they go in pure towards the bandit group, they actually end up in a spread. Just the nature of the turn there. So
Indeed.
I'd say that's definitely planned.
Yeah, it definitely adds a nice 8-mile spread as they go pure. I would say definitely intentional, and a very good tactic allows them to be covered of one another, and it means that in terms of maximum, AMRAM effectiveness, RS isn't able to launch on both with equal effectiveness. They're gonna have to nose hot on somebody for those initial launches, because just a few degrees when you're launching at 40 miles, that few degrees of offset that missile has to fight through can really impact it quite a lot. Decoys once not a biggie, but if you could send them in the melee when the guy is frantically doing threat assessment, they can be effective. Yep, and I think that's exactly what Rich and I are both hoping to see here is a sudden just and boop, oh, thought that was a missile, thought that was an airplane, and as long as it can eat one missile each, even if it's a TWS launch, more than enough to make them effective and worth bringing, because every missile that they eat is one they don't have to defeat.
Yep, and that's it. If you get the wrong sort, you don't shoot the high guy at 30,000 Mach 2. Well, yeah, use the Alamo match as a good example. They can just convert that, the fact they don't need to defend, and just munch you into pieces, basically, with missiles from on high.
Indeed. Now, we are seeing one thing here. Fresh, Viper, in a good spread, but low altitude. And in fact, diving more.
Interesting.
Losing altitude. That is an interesting play here. 26,000 and lowering, whereas looks like Maddie and Aaron 30,000, 33,000-ish. Everybody else staying high. TMC does have a bit of an altitude advantage with the highest aircraft, 42,000 feet. The Tomcats finally done it. Death Angel, 42,000 feet, where we wanted to see the Cats all day. All fight, really. We said this at the beginning. It's been rough with the F-14. The F-14 wasn't showing a lot of its good efforts, but it's been good to see TMC bring out the best in the Tomcat, that high altitude, long range shots.
We have a towel deployment from the lead man, RS.
Oh, we do.
So
first towel is out.
It's only a single towel, so that's 2 more for Finch.
Towel minding its own business.
Well, I was going to say there would be a good shot opportunity for the Tomcats on Aaron here, but he's now gone to the beam. That opportunity now gone.
Indeed, looks like they're both.
And no first pass launch. Well, we might see something out the Tomcats. Oh, okay. We got a ER out from Plasma on the flank.
Yeah,
Not
first
too
one
sure
out.
on what he's
24,000, not the highest altitude. Looks like maybe targeted on Maury, 37,000. ER is going to have to reach far, but hey, if Maury's on, got his jammer on, we could see another long distance home on jam. Although no, this ER might be going for Dauber, who is cold out of there.
Just
No,
look at
no,
that.
no.
Even from 25,000, just Mach 2 to like half the distance is crazy.
Yeah, definitely got the speed. Maury, somewhat defensive, not a huge concern to Maury. We've seen a Jeff not pull G's with the jammer pod, and it work out poorly for him. But I don't know.
Another ER
Missile looks like it's starting to run out.
I think that I think Maury is jamming here because there seems to be a lot of ERs kind of just homing in on Maury.
Indeed, yep, Maddie. Even longer distance shot, actually, 53 miles. That's definitely out of parameter.
It's home on jam as Maddie, the MiG-29's radar would not be able to see a Jeff that far away, so it's 100% home on jam.
Yep. Perhaps that's a good use of the jammer, not running it out front, but keeping it with the mix, making you think things could be closer than they are. These are not JSOWs, they are TALDs. They are Tactical Air Launch Decoy. I think the T stands for tactical. Looks like RS here is trying to get TMC to take a couple second guesses. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's Finch down to one TALD. Fruitcake still got all three. High and fast, burning in though. These TALDs, they're fast, just they're not fast enough.
I was saying about deploying them early, because this is kind of where they don't really have an effect on the decision making, because it's pretty obvious that they're decoys. Though some inexperience may change that assessment. But I feel like when the fight gets really muddy and dirty and low, I feel like that's where they could really play well. But we'll see how it develops.
You know, I think they might have just been using those TALDs to be able to get into a position, because now we have a pretty decent 4-ship wall. Maddie, Aaron, Fruitcake, and Don't Shoot Me all pushing in. Decent altitude, except Maddie is a bit low. Finch and Plasma are definitely cold, resetting. TMC, aim 120 out. And you know what? I think we're going to see a very sad duck.
Yeah,
whoops.
It's working.
It's working.
It's duck season.
Duck hunting out here. Something tells me this duck isn't going to fly for much longer. And there it goes. Aim 120 takes out a duck. That's one missile defeated.
Splash one, but not the sort of splash one you want to be getting.
No, indeed. I wonder if they've decided as to whether or not that's a duck. Finch, 26,000, aim 120, Charlie. Out long. Looks like this is one on Dauber. Dauber Viper high.
24,000 feet.
It might.
Ambitious.
Not 27 miles. I think it's ambitious, but it's enough to it's enough of a threat that Dauber has to react.
Ooh. Aim 54 out from Kingston.
Aim 54 and return Aaron with an ER, I think, right there.
Yeah, Kingston's got to drop. ER's going to get to him first.
I don't know.
Aim 54's lofted, and ER's just going straight for the kill.
Yep. ER is going first. Now, if Aaron uses... Ooh, did Aaron defeat the missile?
Possibly. Aim 54C will go active like an AMRAAM. So, but with the motor spent like that, a bit of G and he'll be okay. Yep.
Oh, yeah, looks like it's definitely found something again. Yeah, guiding itself in here.
It's so fat.
Yeah. Big old missile. Doesn't have a lot of speed. Aaron low in the mountains.
Ooh, yeah, this is the risk.
Going for the defeat. Probably going to make it, putting on the G's. It looks like he knows exactly where the...
Nice, formation here. They've kind of got like a wall going, but it's kind of like a defensive. Got another towed out for Fruitcake.
Oh, that's Fruitcake's last. No, first. Fruitcake's first towed out. Throwing that one overhead, Maddie and Aaron. Wonder if that was intentional, using these Talds as covers, trying to make it look like, hey, we had 2 guys low. Now, okay, look at this. Aaron's now staying low. Maddie and Aaron work together on data link. I'm sure Aaron's now kind of become somewhat disappearing. Got a Towed out overhead. Could that be Aaron? I don't know if these guys have the time to try and figure it out. You know, it's slowing down, but if it could eat one more missile, you know, it's done its job. TMC is coming in with a wall. Actually, they've got a really interesting formation here. Death Angel is about a little bit out, but probably not out of position where they want him. Kingston leading the charge with a Charlie model AIM 54. Maury, Fresh, and Dauber in support, and then Tail in the very back looking to clean it up. RS, on the other hand, they're a bit tight, except for please don't shoot me.
Is that going for the Tald?
Is it going for the Tald? I believe we've got another missile going for the Tald.
Yeah, that's definitely trying to kill ducks.
That is a duck kill. Whoops. That wasn't the button I meant to press.
We should get a scoreboard running here.
Well, we've got 2 duck kills, and duck hunting season for TMC. Come back 2.
So pretty out
of 4 launches. You know, Rich, that's a 50% effectiveness on missile drains. 4 launches, 2 drains. I think that's definitely worth it. 120 out on Kingston from Flinch here with an SD-10 return from Maury.
Yep.
120C looks like it's got the energy it might need here. Or is it going for Maury?
He's just been in the corner here, spinning around in circles.
Duck hunting.
Find his way into the fight.
Oh, looks like Maury has executed this maneuver well, but he turns back into it. Does he turn back into it too soon? Sees the missile, turns away. Jeez. Oh.
He'll be okay.
More G's, more G's, more G's. He's got it.
We do have an ET launch, but again, no tone.
No tone. That SD-10 also looking same thing. Looks defeated to me.
Ooh.
Maury almost ate that 120. I wonder if he knows just how close he came. Don't shoot me and Dauber, both Vipers. Don't shoot me much lower. Actually, don't shoot me now putting out another 120C. This one looks like it's almost already Pitbull on Kingston.
Now that is a sort. Kingston's in trouble here.
Kingston's got to do something for it. He's come down in defensive. Is he pulling enough G?
Well,
he's fast.
He's got wings, so he can probably generate the G with the airspeed he has, and he's done it.
I think he's done it.
So that's one thing for the Tomcat.
I don't think 77
because of
has
the amount
range.
of lift you have with that aircraft, you can be very kind of slow and high, but because you've got so much lift, when you need to start making defensive maneuvers, you know, you can kind of make, you know, mistakes with your speed and be able
Looks
to
like we've got
safely.
Finch's last 2 Talds. Perhaps this is a fruitcake Tald out here. Gonna bring that up in the instant replay. See if we can't figure out whose Tald that was. Oh, it does look like Fruitcake fires off 2 final Talds. No, nope. That was definitely a spread between the 2 of them. How are they going to work? Doesn't it looks like TMC might have figured out the trick. We got an ER out here. Looks like this one might be on Fresh.
I had a little scroll through. Unfortunately, please don't shoot me. That missile on Kingston cost him his life. He C-fitted into the ground.
Oh no! Oh, I wasn't even looking. Let's take a look at that C-fit.
And I wasn't looking. I missed it as well.
Missed it as well. Well, those mountains are a bit dangerous. ER looks defeated on Fresh. Let's go back and see the TMC skill kill by putting the ground where they put it. As my computer slowly implodes.
Oh, finally. Oh, here we go. We have a good ET out from Plasma. It is on a hot F-16, but it's close range enough that it's got a tone and it may go all the way. Double ET skate. One
double ET skate, 120 in return.
All right, ET's gone dead. I think Dobber went idle, but ET on a Tomcat. Now, Tomcats are very high on the infrared, so he's got the flares out, but he's already
Tomcat
cold.
missile return. Plasma's defeating a missile here, but is it going to track him? I can hear him. He's close.
ET's bit the flares from Kingston here, so that was some good flying there to get away from those two.
That was quite good flying. If Model viewer could close. I clicked the wrong button. Let's go ahead and watch that back. 120 Charlie return out of Dauber there on Plasma, but is not enough to connect. Does defeat it. Good stuff there. Both ETs defeated. We're seeing great fighting out of both of these teams continually, and it just makes me happy.
It's good, yeah. Finch might be in trouble here from SD10 out from Murray. He is low and he's slow, but his altitude's quite low, so I feel like he may be okay here. He puts an A120 Charlie in return.
Indeed, and unfortunately, Rich, it looks like we're dropping frames.
BCS.
No, internet. My internet has decided I was not allowed. We're going to keep it up, though.
Oh, no. Okay, now this is an ET shot out from Tayo onto Aaron. Oh, but I think he did put some... Nah, it's still guiding. This is going to be a hit, I think. It's definitely unseen.
It looks good. Yeah, sounds good. And it's good.
A silent killer, that is the ET. So, good kill to Tail there.
Stream getting stuck a bit. Yeah, I do know. Unfortunately,
Plasma's in some trouble here.
ISP has decided we're not allowed to our fun, so we'll definitely have to go over this stuff. Ooh, double 9Ms on Plasma. He is in trouble.
Plasma's going to get into the merge. The A120 in support, but does it have a track?
Ooh, does have a track. That looks very good to me. Plasma quite low. And almost entirely out of missiles. Unable to make it. Unfortunate there. Looks like TMC has put themselves in a fantastic position. This is now a 5v2. Well.
It's like, I feel like we've been here before enough.
You feel like we've been here before? A 2v5. Fruitcake now down to, what's the ordnance check? 2 AMRAMs, 2 missiles, still has that triple ejector rack. Maddie low in the mountains down to the ET and the R77s, which I think Maddie really wants to get in a turn fight with that. But we'll have his difficulties. .120 out here. Return from Dauber. Looks like Fruitcake's 120 might have been sorted on the wrong target, or no, it is now sorted on Dauber. Doesn't have nearly as much energy as his does. Both of them now cold, trying to outrun these missiles. Putting the G's on.
And it's
Dauber's close.
Fruitcake just needs to keep running, and then Dauber,
but defeated.
Yeah.
Enough G's pull. Fruitcake's and keep running, bringing it back into Maddie. Maddie may be able to get some R77s in the face here now. Close, 12 miles from Kingston and Tail.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Matty still has his ET. ET goes out.
Ooh.
But unfortunately, no tone.
No tone? Unfortunate. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, the ER got stronger. Unfortunately, the ET...
ET got weaker. As the trades must be. AIM-7M return on Maddie here from Kingston. And it looks like they've just got the whole team in support here. TMC definitely learning from last match. Their aggression levels are high.
If I was 6 pilots up, and I think I would also... I would have gone 3 versus 2. But yeah, I think they just need to make sure they don't get picked out single file, and they'll be all right.
Indeed. Well, it looks like we're back. We only lost... lost 10,000 frames. Oh, I love my ISP. I knew they were gonna have a problem. R77 out of Maddie onto Kingston, gets the trade.
He just needs to play
ER
that
looks
notch,
too good.
No,
ER had it. Fruitcake back in now. Last man standing. 3 missiles. He's gonna have to get some gun kills if he wants to win it.
Oh, he's gone inverted. And he's going to the ground.
C-fits into the ground. Oh, no. That's a shame. That is a shame. TMC 5 up. I think well played. I think RS definitely tried something with the Talds there, and it looked like it was working. I mean, 50% at one point, but TMC either figured it out. We did see the Tald launches we wanted. Once the melee happened, starting getting those Talds out slowly, making sure that they showed up and kind of confused people. The Tald launch over the head of two pilots who were low and might have been able to drop off radar seemed really smart as a way to try and confuse people. Hey, why suddenly is he here? And that must be a real player. It can't be a Tald. It makes sense that he's slow. He would just climbed all the way back up. So definitely seems that way.
Keep in mind as well for Talds, you are trading. Well, actually no, because in the way of the Hornet, you will have to trade missiles because it's a pylon at the end of the day. But I think they were able to take their 4 actives with the Talds on top.
They can. So can the Tomcat. The Tomcat can take 2 Talds plus 4 actives and no Fox 1s.
Gotcha.
But it is a lot easier for the Hornet to beat the Tald machine. Let's go ahead and take a look at the TAC view while these guys make their way back home, because we've got a bit of fighting to make up for that was missed. Thanks to some fun internet fuckery, really coming out of nowhere.
It's always the best of times, right?
Always the best of times, right when the fighting was getting good. We saw pretty good setups, people going into their beams, always having support. Right here, we've still got all players up for RS 6v6, and looking good. And it sort of just cracks. And I don't think it was anything to do with the pilots. You can see there the Kingston AIM 54C close range launch on a Tald. Duck hunting season indeed. And of course, they are fast with these return shots. They're really good at getting the shots out. When that Tald tricks somebody, they've got a follow-up shot ready to make it really punish it. And of course, the ET that we'd hoped to see get a kill, spoofed by Flares No Tone. Please don't shoot me. Trading with Dauber here. And this was the launch that we were excited to see. We were so excited to see we didn't track the missiles. Had 2 launches fitted on 2 different targets, one on Dauber, one on Kingston, plus that R-77. Kingston really came close to eating the dirt here, but was able to do it. And unfortunately, please don't shoot me, he got his wish. Nobody shot him, except for the squirrels, which is always unfortunate. That was the first launch for RS, but I mean, still at this point, a very good fight being put up by both teams. Everybody looks like they've got all the advantages they want, and RS, if anything, seems to be the ones pressing home the use of those Talds. Gets themselves in close. And there were a couple ET launches on 14s, especially rear aspect 14s, that just almost had it, that I think would have made the difference there. Some great defense here by Plasma on this 120.
Because that was it an ET from Plasma on Kingston. I think Kingston knew that there was an ET somewhere because he pretty much jetted a lot of half his flares.
Got those flares out. That's kind of what you have to
do, especially when you're in a Tomcat, because it's a very hot aircraft.
Second loss for RS here. A Maury with the SD-10 versus Finch AIM 120. Maury definitely gets the launch off early. Maury actually, at JF-17 with that jammer, did a fantastic job staying sort of in the middle of this melee. Everybody around him becoming very difficult, becoming a big threat, and he just sort of popped up, threw the missile out, guided it in, left, and that was a very clean execution of making him a little bit ambiguous by getting that extra jammer to make his range a bit unknown. His SD-10 so much closer to Finch. Finch tries to go into the beam, but is unable to notch the SD-10, definitely in no man's land, and eats it. This ER goes into low Earth orbit, and I don't understand why it didn't keep going higher, because it had speed. The hand of Stalin guided that one in the wrong direction.
Yeah, ETs right now are kind of inconsistent. The thing is, if you're shooting at a cold target, you know that it's got tone and it's going to guide. Where you're kind of rolling a dice right now if you're shooting at front aspect. I think a lot of the ETs that we're missing were, kind of shot front aspect, maybe an override, and they just don't have a tone, and then they miss.
Indeed, Kingston getting the kill on Plasma. No, not getting the kill on Plasma. Plasma's actually able to survive. I thought those were the 9s from Kingston. It is a 120 from Dauber in support. The TMC guys did a great job using their Vipers as, I think, the spot they do best in. Get in that melee. Get in support.
Yep.
Be smart, be efficient. Your placement is key because you don't have the legs to make up for it. And punish every single push. And they do a fantastic job with that. Just always in mutual support somewhere along the way. The JF-17 kind of playing a similar role. And of course, bringing us into the 2v6. Fruitcake tries to get a kill. Unfortunately, isn't able to. Another ET off for the hand of Stalin. Maddie gets aggressive, comes back in, knows, well, I got to get a kill. R77 into Kingston, but the R27ER from Tail just comes out of the sky and takes him, and it's, you know, all said and done. Unfortunately, it's all said and done even earlier as Fruitcake, I think, knowing that perhaps the match is over, decides not to waste the time and puts it right into the ground. A good match, though. Quite a good match. And I think the talent employment, fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a look just at DCS for a minute as they come into land. Up high. What are your thoughts, Rich, with the talent employments? Were you proud of the way they were done? Would you have changed something? What are you thinking?
Well, obviously, you know, towers getting shot down means being effective, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like, because again, we don't know what the experience is, at least in regards to decoys of both teams, because that's ultimately the issue here is, you know, how quickly can they be detected and be, okay, that's a decoy, that's a decoy, that's a player. Again, kind of what I said at the beginning, I would have kind of used them to, you know, when things kind of get into the mix, drop a few out to see if it can open up some holes, because that's it at the end of the day. You want them shooting at a tower when there's an aircraft in a good position to capitalize on the fact that he's not being shot at and the tower is instead. That being said, that takes, you know, just my experience, I could imagine that takes a lot of coordination to get right, because that's it, isn't it? You have to give the picture has, you know, it has to make sense for the enemy pilot, otherwise he's just going to go, all right, that's a decoy. I'm going to shoot you now at 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
Where you want to sell him the illusion that the, you know, the real bandit is not the guy at 30,000, let's say.
You know, it seems, it's unfortunate here, if I'm not mistaken, there's a bit of a script running to kick anybody with 0 airspeed on the ground, because it seems that Plasma, despite losing wings, was able to land his aircraft on a road somewhere.
Oh, OP.
OP. But unfortunately, TMC is not required to come out and do gun runs.
True. Well, there you go, guys. Flankers can land on roads without wings.
By
now.
Indeed.
Only the Sukhoi company, who is now, I think Sukhoi and Mig
Sukhoi.
merged now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's all one, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, they
hello, companies. Airport. Boy, we are suffering from the DCS does not have frames issue here. We're going to have to watch this from the F10 mode. On a field, all good, absolutely. Now, good landing nonetheless. Unfortunately, I think else than maybe a congratulatory pat on the back, it does not provide any points. But I'm proud that you landed the jet. We can make points up, but they won't count towards the... Yeah, you can get some imaginary points. 5 landing points to Plasma for landing on a field with no wings. Currently in the lead, best landing out of all of them. Sorry, 51st, you've got -7 points for landing on a runway.
Next time.
Next time, you'll have to land on fields. Land on a field and then taxi your way back. Well, Rich, if you wouldn't mind, while the last pilots of TMC, the first pilots of TMC getting themselves landed here, sorting down somebody from RS to interview as well as a TMC player.
Yep, absolutely.
I would appreciate it. Oh, those were good fights. Those were just fantastic fights, top to bottom. The players on both sides brought their A game today. The TALDs, oh, I was so happy to see those. And the way they were employed, I think, was, about as good as you could do. Clearly, they worked. They got a couple missiles from TMC. I'm sure when we talk to them in an interview, they'll have some panic moments of why the hell is somebody that close to me? There's a contact at 10,000 or 10 miles. Shoot, 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 kill it. RS just put up a great fight. And we've said this before. Just because the score says 2-0 does not mean it's 2-0. Great work and great even matches all the way up until the end. Fantastic aggression out of RS. I wish that RS was able to fight against GC last week so we could have seen more of this aggression. And of course, I think everybody was rooting for the MiG-29 today. An aircraft nobody would choose, but that certainly has its value. What the hell? That's not the runway, sir.
Oh no. I've got some confusion here. That being said, though, the MiG did have an effect on the match,
Oh,
like
without a
both
doubt.
rounds.
I think the
But
MiG was a
I would have liked
fantastically
to.
integral part.
I would have liked to have seen him sort of flying the kind of profile that Alamo flew the other day. High, fast, come out of nowhere. Drop off some laser-guided R-77s on some foreheads, and then escape into the night, as it were. But
As you do,
that's
it
just
is
me.
and does still seem that Alamo and 51st seem to be the only teams that we've seen so far who really want to break the 30,000 feet barrier. We saw Tomcat today just for a moment pop itself over, but all in all, it looks like Dauber is first in for the landing here. Can't see anything. Where's the runway? Boy, the rain over here is dense, but it looks like ILS doesn't have his gear out. Does have his air brakes. Looking for the runway, can't find it. Like we said last time, the fight's not truly over until it's over.
So my advice for
but they're
TMC,
close.
your fighting's good, but your landings need work.
Your landings need work. Well, I think they'd be doing a lot better. Ooh, that's a Viper approach that I've never seen before. Yep, and all of a sudden lofty as those flaps go down.
Mozdok is a long runway, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to be long enough to kind of come at it 400 knots.
This weather it's difficult. Definitely hard to work around. But with 5 attempts at landings, five aircraft that they can put into a dirt somewhere rather than land it.
They did it in 3, so I think I'd hope they'd do it in 5.
I can hope they can do it in 4 or 5. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'll just watch the rest of these guys land. It is one of the things that I do like about SATAC, that the fight isn't entirely the fight, right? You got to plan it out. You got to think about your fuel. You got to think about your positioning, but you also got to get home, right? You got to make sure you get the fuel to land, and you need to be able to land. And it sounds easy, right? Especially those of us that fly, and we're like, well, it's just landing. But I mean, obviously, look at this. Absolute muck soup.
It's
pilots trying their best, but yeah. Pilots trying their best to land, and they know where the airfield is. They've got the TACAN. Might even have the ILS, but it's almost impossible when you just can't see the runway until it's right in front of your face.
Yep.
Fresh coming in with the Viper. Again, a lot slower. Very slow.
When you don't see the runway, you gotta trust
5 miles from the runway. 5 mile long final. I'm excited to talk to some of these pilots when they get themselves on the ground.
I don't blame them though. I'd probably do a long final on this one.
I certainly would. I think a break over this would be terrifying. Personally, I would like to have a Harrier, so I could just VTOL land. Harrier, best BVR fighter 2023, next year. We're going to see a lot of Harriers and MiG-21s, right?
Well, you put a radar. Well, MiG-21 has a radar. Maybe we can stick a radar in the Harrier and we can put some.
We'll get the British on that. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah. I know people.
You know people. Good. Get that sorted. Yeah. Just that tight runway. Well, running out of things to say, which is never good. What are some questions you want to ask these guys before we get in the interviews?
Well, I think Touts, because that's it at the end of the day. Looking at this match and comparing it to the others still played, we had some Touts being used, and it looked like TMC were also gearing up for some Touts in round one. So it'd be nice just to see, obviously, what is publicly available. Obviously, everyone's kind of got their little secrets. The whole truth there. Is for the teams
Fresh looks to be
keep.
lining up on a pedestrian walkway.
Oh, that should go nicely.
Last second found the runway, changed over to it.
But yeah, just to see what they're all thinking. What was the plan, and how did it go? Did they execute as they were looking to execute, or did they change it on the fly?
Yeah, and you know what? The Towels on the Tomcat at the start, they make me wonder if TMC was a bit more prepared to fight Towels, assuming that wasn't a bit of a meme, and that they did intend to bring those Towels first time out and change their mind at the last second. It makes me wonder if they had spent some time practicing with one another and were prepared to see the Towels and knew what they looked like a little bit more than the rest of us. By the way, there is a landing from TMC's Fresh. A nice fresh landing, tail in right behind, which makes the winner of today's match and the second round the venerable TMC with 2 points. So congratulations to them. And as the last ones of them land, we'll get someone around to interview. But I'm very interested to know on TMC's reaction to those Towels. I'm also interested to know, first round out, the unique loadouts that we saw. The lack of sparrows on one of the Hornets, or on the other Hornet, no fuel tanks. Very much interested to know what RS was thinking there. What's the weapons on each plane? How many missiles left? That's a great question. TMC Fresh lands with 4 missiles, 2 actives, 2 sidewinders. TMC Tail J11 lands with nothing? Lands completely Winchester.
I think he jetted a lot of his weapons. Yeah.
Mori with at least 1 SD-10.
His parachute failed, so that's okay.
Oh, he's got enough runway.
Yeah,
with 1 SD-10, 2 heaters, and Dauber, Death Angel, last 2 up. Dauber in on his final 2 heaters, no actives. Death Angel. 2 sidewinders. Looks like all his Phoenixes were spent. Don't know if he jetted it or not. Towels are effective versus FC3. Oh, okay. Well, you say that, but we saw a Tomcat launch. Actually, both Towels were shot at by high fidelities.
And a Tomcat,
Viper shot one and a Tomcat shot the other.
But that's it. It's the inexperience. If you're not used to dealing with that, then it can be what wins you the round.
Indeed, indeed. Well, as the last ones get landing here, who are we going to interview first, Rich?
So we got members from both teams, as far as I understand. So we'll hop up on the interview channel and we'll bring them in.
All right. Oh, good matches. And there he goes. We'll go as well. We'll start the interviews. And go ahead and bring him in as we just wait for the last TMC members to land.
Yep. The bat signal is out.
The bat signal is out. Finch.
Here we have Finch from RS.
Hey guys,
Finch, what are your thoughts?
Our thoughts. Well, that was a very good match by TMC. And they were very patient, and we are not as patient. So we kind of ran into their nice, very nicely organized grinders.
We did see a lot of aggressive play out of RS. Now, Rich and I have a couple questions for you. First off the bat, from things we noticed, round 1, some interesting Hornet loadouts.
And just here quickly, we got TMC Tail.
Yeah, hello guys.
Welcome in, Tal.
Thank you.
What was the thought process behind those Hornet loadouts? Both rounds, really. The second round with the Towns, but the first round we saw 4 actives, no sparrows, and 1 Hornet with no fuel tanks. Just for the fun of it, or trying to gain some extra performance out of the aircraft?
Which Hornet had no fuel tanks? Was that mine?
Might have been yours.
That might have been it. Anyway, with the I think one of the Hornets had monster wraps on it, where it shouldn't have, and that's just kind of a thing with a Hornet. If you load like a single AMRAM on a station, it loads a double monster rack, which is super draggy. And that I think somebody said that one of our the Dash 2 had Sparrows maybe on a monster rack, which I'm not even sure is possible, but it maybe happened. But the loadout for the Hornet, we end up using about the same amount of fuel if we bring 2 tanks and 4 pylons, or if we bring if we strip that outer pylons, it has much better performance, and we just kind of profile in and have plenty of gas. So at the end of the first round, when I was the last one, it was I just thought it was kind of a boring thing, and I had 5,500 pounds of fuel when I died. I could have kept on going for a long time, but I just didn't want to. I just thought it'd be boring for the viewers, so I kind of popped up and tried to make something happen.
There you go. The viewers have their champion.
Always good. Now TMC here as well. Finch, you might not know this. RS was probably not aware. First round, TMC Kingston had some Talds on his Tomcat. Now, was that a little bit of a meme, or was that intentional? Because, of course, second round, TMC, as you guys might have figured out, RS brought Talds to the fight, and they definitely baited at least 2 missiles out of you guys.
We were discussing using the Tals during the first round, and like Kingston initially loaded it, but like after some like discussion, we like came to the conclusion that we wouldn't use Tals.
Okay.
So like if you check out the loadouts later, I reckon Kingston had a couple of Fox 1s instead.
And, Kingston did a change to the Fox 1s with more Phoenixes afterwards, and we saw that by the time he took off. But when RS broke out their Talds round 2, did you guys have any experience fighting Talds in your practice that helped you guys identify your radar contacts as Talds a little bit quicker and help maybe change how you react to the higher number of radar contacts expected?
We have actually done so. We had a practice against a team who had 1 Hornet dedicated carrying Tals, which meant that there were a lot of Tals in the sky, which meant that we were actually surprisingly well prepared for that. We could quite easily isolate which radar contact weren't Tals and those who were.
Interesting. Rich, what are some questions you have? We've also got Dauber409 joining us. Dauber, we saw some great flying out of you in the Viper.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, at least for me, question to RS. So obviously, round 2, you elected to bring some Tals along. Like, just whatever is sort of publicly available on that. Just feel free to run us through kind of what was your, the desired effect, and like how you were planning to sort of employ those to give you an advantage.
We wanted to either draw TMC in close, and we decided that they would never come close to us over the mountains. So we kind of spread out a little bit on that second round, and the Tals were they're kind of a trade-off because the Hornets could bring 2 more. I could have brought 2 more missiles instead of those 3 Tals. So I gave up 2 missiles to bring 3 Tals.
Oh, sorry to just cut you off here. Nuff, can you crank Finch up a little bit?
Indeed.
We've got requests that he's a little quiet by about 25%. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry, Finch.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Tals are a trade-off because they basically I gave up bringing 2 Sparrows to bring the Tals and have a workable loadout. The Tals were there to basically, so the 2 Hornets were going to go in the middle and try to just dance a little bit with TMC, and then the MiG-29 Fulcrum or MiG-29 and Flanker section, we're going to go out to the west, and then the Flanker and F-16 we're going to go out to the east and kind of dance there. And we're hoping to just kind of have an opportunity where we could close the distance and get in close with somebody to create some havoc. And we had an opportunity for a little bit. I think Kingston came in close, and I thought that was going to be it. But by that point, I think we'd already lost 1 or 2. And then we just kind of got more aggressive as we were already down and pushed in. But the Tals were just to kind of sow some confusion, maybe eat a missile or 2 or something like that, and then help us get an opportunity to get in closer.
An interesting tactic, and definitely when Rich and I were debating what we wanted to see out of the next round, Talds weren't on our mind, but we did note TMC had played a very conservative round in the first segment there, having a lot of missiles, fuel, and energy ready as the fight drew down, and wondering how RS was going to respond to that. And I think that's a pretty unique way, and definitely had some effect to use Tal to try and bring TMC towards the mountains. Now, TMC, last time you guys fought, you did fight over the mountains against SPQR, and definitely were a bit more reserved over those mountains in the first round, which ended up resulting in an SPQR victory. Was that part of why you guys were a bit more tentative to push into those mountains?
The weather.
Yeah, exactly. That was purely a weather-based question, because us in TMC, we haven't actually practiced at all during heavy weather, which you could probably clearly see during the first round's landings, that we actually hadn't practiced at all working in the clouds. So like we said, let's go over the flats. That's a pretty even area. Let's just set the minimum altitude for us, and then yeah.
Interesting. That was definitely something that Rich and I had brought up in the beginning, was how is this mix of weather and map going to play? And we definitely saw RS make good use of low terrain. Multiple times we thought we were going to see RS pilots eat the ground with how low they were in the soup, but you guys definitely did practice in inclement weather. But interesting to know why you guys were a bit more tentative for going into those mountains, and you did seem to be able to direct the fight in such a way that it wasn't too much of a detriment. Of course, I've got to ask a question. I know Maddie's not here, but I think everybody on stream today was cheering a little bit for the MiG-29, seeing a not-so-common airframe up in the sky. If I were to take a guess, brawls were the mentality there, considering all the R-77s and how often we saw Maddie trying to get in close and tussle with people. What's something you can share with us about the MiG-29 and the R-77 game plan?
Yeah, RS has got 2 or 3 very gifted MiG-29 pilots, and Maddie is certainly one of them. And so yes, that part of it was to get Maddie in close, and sometimes he can use. It's got tremendous speed, better than a lot of the other aircraft when flown the right way. Today's fight maybe not the best for the speed, because they've got some pretty capable missiles with the JF-17. But yeah, we wanted to kind of work some confusion, and when there was a opportunity, push in the flanker Fulcrum section, maybe to get behind some of the TMC guys, because that seems to make a little bit more confusion once they're in the mix. We did get one plasma got in late in the round. We were already down by quite a bit, so not as much confusion as we'd like, because it's easier to keep track of the few guys we had remaining. But that was it. Trying to get Maddie and Aaron in close with their ETs, R-77s. They can do some good work with that.
Yeah, indeed. We did see a lot of ETs get spoofed, unfortunately, but not for a lack of trying. Now, TMC, I got a question for you guys. We've seen the Tomcat used a couple times this competition so far this year, and they've had a bit of a lackluster performance. Getting shot down early, not getting to get the most out of their missiles. How central was the Tomcat to your game plan? Because I think we saw some of the best usage of the Tomcat this year out of your team today. Was that a central part of your game plan, or was it just sort of, hey, this is where the Tomcat does its best and put it there?
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't, because prior to the match actually starting, we weren't even sure if we were going to have 6 pilots. So whenever the other guys showed up, we're okay. He can fly an F-14. That's what he's best in. We're going to put Death in F-14. And with Kingston being a former F-14 pilot, he's damn good at it. We felt if we can get medium range shots with a Phoenix and with a Fox 1, just the threat, if they know we have 14s, the threat of the Phoenix will hopefully keep them low, where they don't, so we can drive them, because we kind of figure everybody wants to play in the mountains. So that's when we took the flat, and we figured they would want to go, RS would want to go into the mountains. We wanted to keep them in the weather, in the mountains, so they had not only worry about missiles, but terrain as well. and the reduced visibility. So that's the weather actually kind of played in our hand with bringing the 14s.
Yeah.
Oh, very
And the only
interesting.
thing we did was like we didn't try to we tried to keep the 14s a little bit further back, not let them get over committed because they do have a better radar, and so they're able to point out things to us. If we lose something on data link, they can still give us some input on what they're picking up. And for the most part, we just had them scanning from medium range on down to the surface, so there wouldn't be a MiG-29 flanking on us because we saw the MiG-29, and we figured that's what they would try to do with it. High-speed aircraft, low visibility for the radar. We figured they would try to use the terrain to get the MiG-29 to play. So that's why we had kind of watching the 14s were on the flanks with their radar just to help pick that up.
Sounds like a pretty solid plan. Rich, what are some of your questions? You have any left?
My main one was Towds, but just off the top of my head, nothing really. No, it's just it was a very good matchup, and it was just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah,
All right, well,
the Towers were interesting. In the F-16, there were several times we would lock them up, and we're having to talk amongst ourselves, hey, because it's an unknown target that comes up on the data link.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually, between me and Fresh, we were calculating the closure speeds, and that's how we kind of figured, hey, that's probably a TOW. Let's leave it alone.
That
That
sounds
makes
like a
sense.
pretty.
We just call out the altitudes, and everybody knew what the TOW altitude was. That's what we think it is. We had one person kind of keep an eye on it in case it wasn't, in case it turned into something else. But yeah, that's how we're playing that.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Just
sounds like a
communication.
smart way to do it, and good. Yeah, like you just said, great communication required to do that. So that's fantastic to hear. Thank you guys for coming to the interviews. Good to hear your insight and answer some of the questions we have just watching from an outside perspective. Like I said before, both teams fought very well today, and it definitely was enjoyable to watch for me. I'm sure it was for Rich, and I think that the viewers also thoroughly enjoyed your guys' match. So I'm excited to see more out of you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate the invite to the tournament.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
It's a pleasure.
All right.
Oops. Well, Rich, just as we wrap it up here, Maury from TMC has put a little fun tidbit of news in chat.
Uh-huh.
JF-17 data link can identify TALDs.
Oh, well, there you go. You got your
So,
tower plane.
You got a TALD plane. So I don't want to mention it, but definitely could be an interesting concept as more teams learn this. Maybe, hey, they've got a Jeff. The TALDs might not be quite as useful, but I think the TALDs are such a situational tool. We probably won't see too many more of them.
Yeah.
But very interesting nonetheless, and I think good fighting out of both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to see kind of an equal fight there. But yeah, there has to be a winner at the end of the day. There were obviously some good opportunities from both teams to kind of throw things in their favor, and I think ultimately that's what it bubbled down to. Just in the right place at the right time, and the factors that lead to those situations.
Indeed. Well, look, like we said before, thank you, of course, to the pilots who flew it today for coming out. Their teams do great. They represent some of the best pilots in DCS, and they definitely put their best forward. Thank you for everybody who came by and watched. Thank you for all the follows and subs. Certainly do appreciate that. The next scheduled stream, assuming no changes, is 473rd versus GTAC, the 11th of March, 1500 Zulu. There might be some changes in rescheduling, but for now, that's the next time that you guys will be able to watch a SATAC stream at an undefined location. Where can you watch SATAC streams? Well, of course, you can watch them here, and if you've been enjoying the content, you can follow for non-SATAC streams with hopefully about a similar amount of production value. You can also follow Airshow, fantastic local Big Asuka Sequoia himself, the SU-27 VTuber, if I could spell. You can go ahead and give him a follow, and that'll be a great way for you to make your way over to his channel when it's time for an air show stream. He streamed yesterday's match. They're great fun. His commenting is fantastic, and some more good insight. And as the shout out for air show goes, the other streamer we have is the venerable 104th Tiger, making his appearance, doing some good lead work. Almost was slotted for a stream this weekend, but did not take it. Probably one next weekend, perhaps even maybe the person who streams 343. Wow, numbers are hard. 343 versus GTAC might be Tiger. You might like those earlier times. So like I said, guys, if you want to be able to, oh boy, I'm gonna have to guess Tiger's name.
As I understand, he has a tiny Rio, as he puts it, that demands attention. But
Indeed, a tiny Rio.
Unable.
Must wait 43 seconds. Well, look, guys, the SATAC Discord is a great way to figure out when streams are. You'll get a ping, you'll be notified, and of course, all SATAC streamers will have the stream name in their title. So if you can't figure it out by that time, or the information is just a bit too confusing, look at the DCS tab of Twitch at 1500 Zulu on the 11th of March, and you'll get the next match, 434 versus GTAC. Rich, thank you for joining me as a co-host. Your insight was very much welcome. And with that, thanks for hanging out, everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your day. If you've been watching the whole stream, it's been about 3 hours. Make sure you stand up, stretch, get some water, maybe get some food. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Peace, guys.
Now I have a